listening to M.T.V.B. podcasts, movies, TV, video, and board games. This show may contain swearing.
Welcome to a brand new episode of the M.T.V.B. podcast. The podcast talks about my four favourite subjects. That's movies,
TV shows,
video games,
and board games.
I'm your host, Antman, as well as most people know me as the Antman, and welcome this week's episode. Well, Gal's on this episode, so it's a video game episode. Yay. We're going to be talking about our top 5 favourite sports video games of all time, and I'm joined around the table by the guys that love to talk about sports video games. Introduce yourselves around that table, please.
Hey guys, it's Gal, aka Grey Fox.
Grey Fox in the building.
It is. And it's me, Supa Mario.
Mario.
It's me, Chris Heisenbyrne.
Heisenbyrne. He's actually officially said it's Heisenbyrne.
He's adopted it. We've been using it for the last 3 weeks.
Exactly, yeah.
He's
taking it. He's in. So, here we go, guys. Top 5 sports games of all times. Before we do that, let's go around the table and introduce everyone. I'll start in with, of course, the video game guy himself. That's the wrong button. Sorry, hold on. That's the one. There we go.
That's brilliant.
How are you, sir?
I'm good actually.
Yeah?
It wasn't quite difficult making my list, but I quite enjoyed it. Kind of refreshed my...
Well, I hope it was good because you're the games expert.
Yeah.
So that's why you're on the episode. This should be easy every time.
Yeah, of course. But some of them, some of the sports games did take up a big chunk of my life. Like I played it consecutively, years after years. Mm-hmm. But yeah, quite. I'm looking forward to talk about it. The show.
Nice. We go around the table over to Mario there. There he is.
It's me, Mario.
Hey, how was that list for you, sir?
Really good. I have too many to put on the list, so I have tried to narrow it down and put some random weird ones on there.
Okay.
But I think I've got it all covered. Yeah, I've got everything. Almost every.
I was waiting for him to say he had 2 lists. Then it's like, taking someone else's job.
There's only one person that can do that. I'm not going to take their job away. No, not at all. But yeah, no, it was really good. I went through everything I've played from just the dawn of time, and kind of put it on the list. Other than the old Game and Watch, I've left them off, but everything else is on there.
God, sports games on Game Watch is...
Yeah, it was literally like move left, move right.
That's all it was,
I remember I had one called Touchdown. And basically, you're an NFL player, but the ball would kind of animate on the screen, just spinning, and then the player would look like he's got it, and all you're doing is just dodging all the players coming towards you. So it was kind of
I played that.
Yeah, and it was it's just really weird. You're just going left and right and just avoiding what's coming towards you, and it gets more difficult because they block off. You have 2 on one side, you can only go one way, and then you have 2 the other side, then you have 2 and it got faster. Yeah,
nice.
That's how American football is apparently.
I missed it. It was like the old. It was like an LCD screen.
Yeah. Monochrome. So you actually just had black and grey or whatever the screen was.
They were just pictures, weren't they?
They were just pixels.
Switch side. That's it.
That's it. Exactly that. And it was a variation on it was Mario Cement Factory, where stuff would drop from the top and you collect it and then drop it to the side, and they're all kind of variations on the same theme. I think it was Parachute or something, where you collected people that fell out the sky.
Yep.
All those sort of things.
That's all it was.
Yeah.
The one you're talking about, I think I don't know, it wasn't on a Game Boy. I think you get those 3-in-1 games, a weird sort of mashup GBA type. And it was one of those games. I remember. Wow, that's amazing.
That was our mobile gaming back in the time, folks. And then, obviously, last but not least, Mr. Heisenbyrne himself.
Yeah.
How was that list for you?
It was good. It was good just reminiscing about... There's a few games on here that I was like, yeah, they've got to go on for the amount we played.
Okay.
But there's one franchise that's just been played for over 30 years.
So you're still playing it now?
Well, I don't own it now.
Oh.
But I would... still play it. That's only because, family life and stuff.
Yeah.
Damn, it gets in your
Yeah,
it does.
Family, eh?
family.
Bastards.
It's a long slog, but yeah.
I'm glad someone said it.
My wife might watch this.
No, she won't.
She never watches, dude.
It's in English, mate. It's not going to happen, is it?
Moody.
Right, so obviously anyone who doesn't follow us before on YouTube, before we do our top fives, we ask a couple of questions. So my first question to you guys, let's state the obvious here. What is going to class as a sports game?
When the opening sequence goes, EA Sports, it's all in the game.
Yes.
It's a game.
It's official.
Then you know it's a game. It's a sports
It's a
game.
sports
That's
game.
it. Done. That's it. That's it. It describes it straight off the
That
bat.
is so true, yeah. Like, one of mine, well, it would have made it to my list, but I won't. It's all of that. It's like a 3-year, 4-year period. That's all I heard. First put in the city. EA Sports, it's in the game. Oh, so good.
30 years.
It's the reason why you put the game on was just to listen to that.
And you would go around just like, it's in the game.
You know, you can play them on an audio CD player as well, and it just plays that.
Yeah. Probably. I should have it as a text notification. It's in the game.
That'd be cool. But I'm thinking like on more side on the actual sports themselves. So are we saying snowboarding is a sport?
Yes.
Are we saying...
Yeah, I've done it as like anything like that, and then I've done anything with the arcade sort of feel of a sports game, or if it has a sports element to. You can see what they've done. They've taken like a sport and then given it like a jazz up or a futuristic sort of feel. So I could have easily done a EA Sports, just a whole list of just boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
But I've kind of mixed it up, and I've kind of gone through the years. But there's a year that just all other games just kind of cease to exist,
Okay.
and then it's just like just only one game is played for
The next 30 years.
No, between me and my friends, it's well over a decade of just solid.
Yeah.
I don't know. There isn't more hours than this one game than over the years that I've ever put in. So this is the episode.
I'm excited.
This is the episode.
I'm excited to hear this.
Yeah, it sounds good.
So I'm going to say about multiplayer side to it. Do you prefer the sports games online or with yourself, or the obvious couch co-op?
It's got to be. It's got to be really friends in a room.
Yeah,
That's basically my list. Friends in a room, and then there's the one game that could sort of survive online. But that's for me.
I think it's exactly what Chris said. Friends in the room, having a mode where it's campaign, it's a plus.
Second,
like some of the games had these sort of campaign modes, and it just made it even more better. So when you don't get your friends over, you can jump on that, and that's what I was. It's like friends over. Okay, we're doing multiplayer. If they're not here, I'm doing solo campaign mode.
It was where you could do a campaign mode or a game mode, a tournament mode, solo, but it would unlock other things like vintage teams or vintage shirts or something silly like that, or even stadiums or bits and pieces that you could unlock. So that made like single player worthwhile playing.
Yeah, 100%. It just bounces off of each other.
Yeah, definitely.
I've got one game on here that's like you wouldn't say it's a great sports game. You might not even know it, but for the amount that me and my mates played it and the amount of fun we had, kind of had to.
It's going in there.
It's going in there. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got one similar. But I have cleared up with you, and I think it's the most fun. Well, all of them had multiplayer. Well, this one was just like it was out there. And it's just the most.
I think a lot of the sports ones. So I wasn't sporty, but I did like to do sports, and it was a case of you could do stuff in the game that you just couldn't do ordinarily. So the game then made it that was the takeaway from it. So the game was. You couldn't do certain things at football, but you could in the game because you could just do the thumbstick moves or the button presses, and it would allow you to do it. And that's kind of what made it for me, kind of like more realistic.
Yeah, those games are just like I don't know. I hope it's not in one of your lists, but I think there's a game a while back ago where it was called something red card and. You were meant to like foul the shit out.
I do remember this.
I can't remember their name.
Yeah, no, it was called Red Card.
Red Card.
Yeah, and you just hack the shit out.
Yeah, and it's just like it takes the element of football and just
runs with that little element.
No, sports is like football has been like like we could say movie, TV, video. Like sports would be well, football would be number one if it was like, my podcast. It'd just be football, movie, TV, video games. That would do all the... So...
Called him on the movie episode.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like... Whereas... I don't really talk sports or football because it's not really a
football environment.
So it's kind of like... It's nice to be doing a sports episode.
Same, I'm like that as well. Like I'm a huge football fan, but there's if I mention football, football.
We do rip the piss out of him.
But and also touching up on what I was saying, there's also another one. I'm sure you must have played it, FIFA Street as well. Which
we took the street element, which was a tournament they ran as well in real life.
Yeah, 5-a-side, and it was all about pulling
the trigger. It's a nice honourable mention.
So it's cool. I hope it's on the list. I just had to mention that.
So kind of the same question, but do newer sports games put you off now that you don't, like you mentioned earlier on, Chris, about family time, you don't get to play it as much as you do now? I kind of say this because like fighting games were my thing back in the day and I had people to play with at the time and mates to sit with and whatnot. Now I can barely get a fighting game to, back on the screen one now because, again, I don't really have the love for it or people to play with it. So do you have that, guys, have that same feeling with sports games today, for example?
Yeah, it's kind of like I probably won't buy them as much anymore. But if it was a case that like 4 of my mates every weekend got together and we had a few hours to play, I'd definitely buy the latest one. It's just a case of everybody's kind of doing their own lives now.
Yeah.
It's like it's a longer. Before it was like every night. Or
it's like you've got to book an appointment now.
Every weekend, you just with your mates. It's just there was no family time during these decades. It was just mates and just fucking hanging out
after school,
before school, all the way up until like you can push it, and then on the weekends,
bunk school.
Yeah, it's just
yeah. I'm just like what you said. Like this year has been absolute wicked for fighting games, and I haven't even bought one.
No, same.
No,
like I think Tekken. I'm not sure about Mortal Kombat.
That was the year before, yeah.
Mortal Kombat 11 or whatever.
And now the Dragon Ball Z, I'm like, there's online option, but like it's not the same.
Online, no. So I played Street Fighter 2 online, and that was awful because it was just the minute the person on the other end slowed down, or my brother does this thing where he plays games and he just yells at the screen, and the thing that comes out of his mouth all the time is "It's glitching, it's glitching," and that's how it is. Like you're playing like Street Fighter, and you're going in for that special like 10-hit combo, and then you're dead, and you're like, "But I was 5 hits in." How do they like? It's because you've missed your opportunity to hit the buttons because it's just the lag on it was just that much.
Yeah. It's unreliable, isn't it? Fighting games.
For me, the fighting game died once. You need your mate in the room.
It's something we've covered in a previous. It's the reaction. Like it's not saying me and you could be fighting, but the reaction you get from other people even watching.
Yeah.
My controller's broken, isn't it? Give me a dodgy controller.
You've been shit all night. You ain't won one.
Yeah.
It's all
such
the
a button masher, mate.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it.
And the actual bit, the beat down or the humiliation of like a flawless victory.
Yeah.
Like just or a 5-0 bashing.
When it comes
to Street Fighter Perfect.
Yeah. When it comes back to like sports games, though, it's like there's a couple on my list that are single player only, and that makes it kind of like quite easy to play.
Oh, okay.
And then when it comes to like the multiplayer side, you have to have the person in the room. There's no way around it. I mean, I do play one of the games online, but you don't get the same feel because you can't kind of look the person in the eyes and go, "Well, you were shit." And so this kind of takes that away from it. So some of the games like. You have to have that 2-player in the room. You can't have that remote. But you can, like you say, story mode just takes it away. With the kids, though, at the minute, so I can play a sports game quite happily. I can't get away with Street Fighter, and I can't get away with Call of Duty, and I can't get away with certain games with the girls in the room. But I can sit and play FIFA, or I can sit and play NHLPA, or I can sit and play some of these games, and they'll sit there and they'll understand the mechanics.
Yeah.
And that's quite cool. And it's quite cool to watch their evolution as well. Like, them learning how to do certain things with the thumbsticks and the pads that I didn't even know were possible, and like that kind of makes up for it a little bit. Other than having your mates, it's now a different generation coming through and starting them a little bit earlier because like I came from the gamepad generation, so it's literally a D-pad, and there's no kind of analog kind of feel to the D-pad. You press one way, you go one way.
Yeah.
You press one way, and you go that way really fast. With thumb pads now, because they're all analog and you've got the kind of sensors, hall sensors in them, you can be as gentle and delicate as you want, and you can run slightly or you can run really fast, or just exactly that. So you have that kind of granularity in the games now, and I think it's a different generation of kids coming up from me that use that to their advantage. Like, I'm all out. Like, if I'm
It's a lot different than just pressing X all the time, mate.
Exactly. Like, if I'm running up the pitch, I'm literally yanking that thumbstick all the way up. But if I watch other people do it, they're like, the thumbstick's like at 2/3 gone, and they've got that little bit extra just so they can run the pitch. And I'm not thinking like that. I'm thinking, I'm going full tilt all the way. And they're just there. And that's watching the girls do that as well, and beating me at some of the games as well. And she's 8 years old and 7 years old, and they're able to kind of, in some games, keep up and beat me.
Nice,
So
mate.
it's like, I'll take that.
Yeah.
Different generation.
My
coming
work
through.
here is done.
That's it, yeah. You can learn no more from me.
That's it.
I started off with like a joystick, with like my Amiga 500, and it was like there was a couple on there that I was like, oh, should they go on? Should they go on? It's like, but no, they go on the honourable mentions. But like that's where like you start with like what you start with. You start with a joystick, and then
You move to the gamepad, and then from the gamepad to the thumbsticks on the gamepad. Yep.
And I bet you that stick doesn't drift. Take that, Nintendo.
Yeah.
no, but it did have. If you bought a cheap joystick,
the Tesco's £20 jobby. Yeah.
It would just either flop like that, but you need to want
the early Logitech ones. Like, I'm going to play a Fight Slim. Crunch. Oh, I'm not going to play anything for the next 2 hours.
Nope.
Mum, take me to Tesco's. I need a new joystick. Didn't have game stores then. It was
Nice,
you
is it?
went into Tesco's or somewhere like that, and that was
Because it was always on a day where they weren't open, or a time of the night when
that was it.
Is it? Bloody hell, you
Comet.
remember that?
Comet,
Tempo.
Yeah. Tempo.
Dixon's used to sell it.
Yeah.
That's all I got for questions wise. If anyone else has anything to throw in, if not, we will go straight to the top fives.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
It's time for a top 5.
So before we start our top fives, we determine who's going to go first by rolling our little 20 die with the T-Rex inside. And guess what, guys? Howard's not on this episode. We actually have a fighting chance this time. Who'd like to go first?
I'll go first.
Go on, let's see what the computer
Take that, Howard.
do.
Oh, that is
man. A 3.
It's because you said take the Howard, that's why.
11.
Ooh, okay. Heisenbyrne with the
13.
Ooh.
That's one up in me.
13.
Here we go.
Monsieur.
Here comes my normal 4.
Not quite 6.
Ah, there we go. Well,
Winner.
Mario wins. Winner, chicken dinner.
Cool.
So, starting with you, and we'll go around clockwise from there. Guys, if we don't mention your sports game, there are obviously a shit ton of them. You should have been in this episode, so bollocks to you. Number 5.
Number 5.
Over to you, Mario.
My number 5 is a game that I first played on the PC, and then when it came out on the Super Nintendo, I played religiously during the Olympics.
Did you say the PC?
Yeah. Hey. And it's called Track and Field.
Honourable mention.
So made by Konami, and it was the worst graphics I've ever seen when I look back at it now, but when I played it, it was amazing. And basically you had every sport, but the mechanic for every sport was exactly the same.
Yeah, it was just button mashing, wasn't it?
Bashing. You had 2 buttons, so for a lot of it, you were bashing between 2 buttons or hitting 1 button repeatedly. So if you were doing, say, 100 meters, you had to hit that button, 1 button, massively, as quickly as you could to get to the finish line. If you were doing the hurdles, it was bash that button and then jump, bash that button and then jump, bash that button and then jump. And then you had swimming, you had javelin, which was bash the button.
The triple jump, all
triple
that stuff,
jump, and you had to get the triple jump timing just right, although I don't actually think the timing mattered at all. I think you just had to hit the buttons in like a rested sequence, and it would then do the triple jump. Long jump as well, you had to get on the white line and jump that as well. So it was a full Olympic suite. And I don't think I've seen anything like it since. I think there's track and field games to come out, but I haven't seen or played
I think the
any.
last one was on PlayStation 1, I think.
Yeah, there was another one.
So I remember playing one on that.
You had the Athens, and you had Beijing, and you had I think you've had the Olympic ones come out, and they're good fun as well.
Yeah, and the great kind of
But it all
multiplayer
stems
ones
back
as
from
well,
this.
which is really weird. But the multiplayer on most of them was like you would sit there and take it in turns. Because, of course, like for javelin, you can't have 3 of you throwing javelins at the same time.
Yeah.
But for the track and field stuff, so for the sprinting and the hurdles, you'd be able to do that together at the same time. But you just see both of you like sticking your finger in your shirt and just rubbing it over the buttons to try and get there as quick as you can.
You get Splinter as well.
That's it. Yeah. So you're getting that thumb blister.
thumb blister.
The famous thumb blister. That's it.
One game that kind of modern that reminds me of that, Sonic and Mario.
Sonic and Mario
That's
Olympics.
great fun.
Yep, I've got that.
Yeah.
And that one does that thing where it kind of, you've got modern takes.
Modern take on it,
And then you go back and you've got an 8-bit version of it as well.
That's it, yeah. You switch, that's it, yeah.
So good.
That was quite good.
I got that when I went to Japan and was there. I was in Japan for the
Olympics.
Well, the Olympics never happened because of COVID. So I was there for the year the Olympics were supposed to happen. And of course, COVID happened, so it all got cancelled.
Shit.
And I came back and I bought that game at Sonic and Mario at the Olympics for that kind of reason, just as a memory of going to Japan and seeing the Olympics not happen.
So you didn't see Olympics, but you came back with
I came back with it. Yeah,
Came back with Olympics, yeah.
Loads of merchandise that has it on there. 2020 Olympics or whatever it was.
Oh, nice.
And it never happened that year. It happened the year after because of COVID.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
COVID.
track and field, one of the most underrated, I think, button bashers ever going.
See, I had it for the Commodore 64, and for some reason they wouldn't do the buttons on that. You had to have the joystick, and you would just
move it backwards and forwards.
That's all it was.
That was the other one, wasn't it? Like, because I think you also had.
I'm sure the joystick must have broke.
Totally.
You'd rip it off, like you literally just tear it off, or you'd have the one red button on it, or you'd have a trigger button or something. But you'd be moving it backwards and forwards trying to hit the trigger button, but like no chance in hell. But yeah, the SNES version, like you had for running and swimming for some of them, you had to hit 2 buttons in sequence, very similar to what you do with some of the Sonic stuff, where like you have to hit the 2 buttons in sequence to get your arms moving and stuff like that.
I can't.
And
do
this
that
was the
no
same.
I can't do that. I used to do it for the Metal Gear Save Meryl or something. I just end up buying
when he gets
booster.
tortured, you're like trying to
get a booster controller.
Just so you can hit the button and it does it
just hold
automatically.
I can't. It's your thumb fucking hurts, man.
They never work.
I think that's why the people had booster controllers was for track and field, wasn't it?
I
was mainly for
specifically
track and
bought
field.
it for that.
But it was so great fun. It's such great fun. And also, you like I say, all of you in a room playing it, like we were talking about earlier, and it's all of you there. And afterwards, you're all there with your thumb in a bucket of ice, just kind of like, or you have this massive thumb as you're going, should we play Street Fighter? No, I can't bend
now,
my thumb at all.
Oh, just doing this, and someone walks in, it just looks really.
It looks so dodgy.
That's it.
It's a game, Mum, I swear.
Yeah. So, what are you playing with your Game Boy? Yes, Mum, Game Boy. But no, track and field, my number 5.
Nice. Over to Chris for number 5.
So we're going back to basically the first games console that I ever owned personally. Like it was for me. And it's not a sport that I watch or anything, but I do like to watch like documentaries on it and stuff, all stemming from my love of this game. And this is NBA Jam 93 on the Mega Drive.
Mega Drive.
Oh, yeah.
Boom
Nice.
shakalaka.
So
From downtown.
puts up a brick.
Yeah.
Honourable mention.
So this one, it had, I didn't know it at the time, but it had kind of official licensed players. You could have had anyone. I don't even think I knew Michael Jordan at the age, really.
No, well, he was, when I remember it, he was kind of the big name in basketball.
Yeah,
so he was on. Everyone wanted to be Michael Jordan.
But the age I was playing this game, I don't even think
You knew
I
about
knew who Michael Jordan was at the time.
Sorry,
So,
I played that recently. There's players in it. I don't know if they've added players onto it
might have done.
because I'm sure he wasn't around when that game was made. So I was confused.
Yeah,
don't
so
know
I
if
can't
anyone-
remember what players there were, but like from like the bit of research, I thought like the Bulls had like Pippen and Grant.
Yep.
So it didn't have Jordan, but it's the way that because it was done by Midway, and I think didn't they do Mortal Kombat?
They did.
They did.
Yeah.
Like the way that they kind of get these, you can see the jumping, the way that they jump in the same sort of the movement of these players, the way that you can see Mortal Kombat in the programming, but it's the just 2-on-2, and it's just arcade, fast paced.
Yep.
And it just, you didn't feel like you had to be good at it. You kind of either missed or you didn't, and it didn't feel like
It was a professional sport that felt arcadey.
yeah, it didn't feel like you had to be like hit the 3-pointer at a certain point if you got it, because I just remember having so much fun with it.
You didn't need to be good at it either. Like it wasn't a game of skill with NBA. Like you could just
anyone could
blag
pick it up.
Yeah. It was a pretty simple game.
But like on the Mega Drive, like there was this, and then like another one, and then you had like Mortal Kombat, Street Fighters, and like and this was one of the top games on the Mega Drive, wasn't it? It was like. I remember it being about 59.
I didn't even know.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
59.99 or something.
Yeah.
They were ridiculous. Like
I didn't even realise it was on the Mega Drive.
Yeah, it was on the Mega Drive
more of,
first.
That was on the first.
later.
Then the Super Nintendo was like, oh, we kind of want that.
Yeah.
And the only reason it kind of, as it got older, it was kind of like, if you kind of said, oh, you like it just wasn't the thing. As you got older, you just kind of,
especially in this country, if you said you like basketball, you're like weirdo. Why don't you like football?
Yeah. There was always another game that you kind of wanted, and it was kind of like, at this time, you got a game either for birthday, Christmas, or if you were seriously ill in a hospital.
It was also one of the first games to have the big head mode.
It was, yes.
And loads of like, little cheat codes to kind of like the ball would be on fire. I know you had a turbo mode in it as well, but yeah.
Fireball edition, so good.
It might be on someone that was it WrestleMania with the Doink the Clown and Undertaker?
Yep.
Because that movement's like the same.
It's that was by Midway as well.
Yeah,
that was WrestleMania, the arcade game.
You could see the movement, like the way that they do their games. It's like. Yeah, it was just so much fun.
It was actually with real people, wasn't it? That's why it made out,
But it was at an age where you came round and you went, oh, do you want to play NBA Jam? And it's like, yes. Yeah. There was just no stigma to it. And it was just a great game. And you had many, I think 93, and then I probably was playing that up until 5, 6, up until... Yeah, because until I got a PS1, well, I inherited a PS1 sort of thing, it's like... That was the games console that I had. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, NBA Jam kind of had a rebirth with the 360, didn't it?
Yeah.
Because
that's when
Fireball Edition came out, wasn't it?
That's
and then
that's when I was.
But then we brought it around and used to play it. Did we used to split screen it and everything?
And it was just like people like Jay, and they could pick it up and play it.
It's such such an easy game to pick up.
And
like I say,
you pick 3 players, right?
It's free.
So
Always
it was
free.
only 2.
It was only 2 on the original Mega Drive one.
Okay.
But it was a playing field leveler, like with FIFA or Sensible Soccer or any of those. Like you had a person that was really good at it, and they would always insist on playing it, and they'd always insist on being
know the moves as well.
Yeah, and they'd always insist on being their team.
Certain point or a certain bit of the area, you could always score.
Yeah,
regardless. But that didn't really seem to happen on
NBA Jam. No, so you'd always kind of hook it up, and you could do the slam dunks and stuff.
That was like if you score 3 in a row without them, that's when it becomes a fireball, or you get like the commentary.
Yeah.
So good. I think the commentary adds to it as well.
It was only snippets. It was like boom,
You can if you
passes
imagine
out wide.
if you imagine now, like so, it's realistic voices, like proper commentators, the characters. They say their things when you're playing the game. They're calling out names of players and stuff like that. In this, it was very vague commentary. It was really digitized as well, and it was on a Mega Drive. Like the first time we'd heard the voice on a Mega Drive was like Ultra Beast. Rise from the grave. And so you had like from this, you had the voices kind of coming up from the console, and giving the commentaries over the top, and little kind of snippets in between. From downtown, he's put up a brick, slam dunk.
That's it.
Yeah,
So good.
Yeah. So. Oh yeah, I loved my Mega Drive, or what was it, the Genesis? If you're, I don't know why they changed it.
Yeah, the Sega guy.
Sega guy, yeah, I loved it.
It was cool. It was edgy at the end of the day. So
it was great. Yeah,
I had this cartridge where it had like 24 games. I don't think NBA was on there, but I love that cartridge. You got to play the shit out of it.
That's something straight out of Sri Lanka or something. No. 24 game cartridge.
It had a multi-game.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I remember there's a few of them that went around.
I remember 24 being on there. I didn't attack it.
Just a random number, but there was quite a lot.
It wasn't actually 24.
It was actually 4.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's probably
No, there was
4.
Golden Sun, some really good games on that. On top of my head, and there was a football game on that as well.
Nice. Yeah, probably. Oh, yeah. I remember that. Anything else
no,
on NBA Jam?
That's it. Yeah.
Cool. So let's follow basketball with basketball.
Ooh.
But mine's up a machine. Mine's from PlayStation 1. And it's probably the only realistic sports game on my list. Because when you all guys all said, it's all to do with EA Sports, and it's like, mine doesn't have any of those. But mine is, I remember the name now, Total NBA 96.
Ah, yes, this was the next evolution of
Yes.
NBA Jam, more or less. It went more realistic.
But it was. They took the Jam out and just so it was yearly now, wasn't it?
Yes.
This was like going back to what I was saying about the multiplayer side of it. Like we rented this out for a weekend, and I was never. I liked watching basketball. I was never good at playing it on a video game. I was crap at NBA Jam, so let's give it a go. And what I loved about this is that the game is sort of shot out so that it's a long distance. You can't really see into it very well. You're clear enough to see your characters and stuff like that, but it had the more clearer sound effects now, like from way downtown, or every time you attempted a free shot for free.
So it's
every
still
time.
an arcadey.
No, it wasn't arcadey, but it had. It was fluid like an arcade. Like the controls weren't like, you have to hold L1 and whatever to loop
just
it or whatever.
Pass.
It was just X to pass or circle to tackle or whatever. But what I used to love about this game, I used to think, oh my God, this stuff is so groundbreaking. Now look how realistic they move, all the players and stuff. But what happened was every time you got a basket, the camera would zoom in and you'd see all these players blocky as hell. Like their heads were square, their arms were like this elongated triangle and everything, and they literally just looked like they had a photo of the player on it that you picked and stuff. But I can't deny it was just like, I can't believe this is like the game that probably got me back into watching basketball again and getting, going out and playing basketball again and stuff. I just absolutely loved it. Like I said, the soundtrack was great. The opening cinematic they did for it as well, because again, this is all CD now. It's not cartridge based, so there were actual players like making dunks and slam dunks and whatnot. But I just had so much fun with this game, and I always prefer it to NBA. As much as I love NBA Jam, it's such an arcadey thing. There was always something about this gem of a game of like, I still actually own this game, by the way. I don't own the console, but I own the game. I love this game, honestly. I wish they still made more of these now, because the NBA 2Ks now are just too...
No, you've got to love the sport for that. You've got to be... there's your franchise, you either stick with it, but you love the sport, or you love the IP to the point where no one could tell you any different.
It's a bit like COD, isn't it?
People say that there's nothing different, and you're like, shut up, there's so much different. It's like
exactly, yeah.
But I mean, this one I would have loved to have got, but like it's just like, I think you say it was 96.
96, yeah.
Yeah, so like I used to live in Torquay, so I moved up here in October 96.
Right.
So I left all of my friends, everything that, all of that hours of playing, and then you move up here and then you make new friends, and then it wasn't like the NBA wasn't on the circuit, it wasn't because it was a bad game, it just
nobody else was playing it.
No one else was playing it, and you just end up going sort of where,
You went to the dark side football.
No, that was already.
Oh, it was
already there. That's been.
He went to the even darker side, netball.
That was the first thing I ever did. Having a ball was pretty much the first thing I ever did. Yes.
I remember a specific time where I don't know.
You actually said specific. Nice.
I practiced.
Hey,
So
proud of you.
There was a moment where these, when you were reading magazines, and it's like, oh my God, you can see the reflection on the floor.
on the floor. Yeah.
I don't know if it's that game you're talking about.
It is that,
or the one
yeah.
after. And I was like, oh my God. But yeah, if you look back at it, it literally the picture cut out on it.
But it was, honestly,
It's the same as if you look at the characters from the Die Hard trilogy game.
Yes.
Like when you zoomed in on their faces.
So
it's literally a
bad.
block, like it's almost like a Roblox character now, but with a photograph of someone's face on the front of it.
I genuinely believe like part of our brains just filled in that.
Yeah,
you
filled
know
in
what I
the
mean?
blank.
Yeah.
Virtual Fighter. You look at that was like, oh my God.
You look at
But they
it,
move
that's
so
awesome.
realistically.
But if you also think about it, like one of the most kind of lusted after characters in the entire computer game universe, her first ever, but that, and she's a block. She is literally a block. But now you don't remember that. You don't, like in your head, you've somehow kind of romanticized that actually she's really feminine.
more
She's
to
really,
it.
yeah. But actually, when you go back and play the game now, you're like,
What the
what
fuck?
the hell?
What was all the all the hype
Where's
for?
the
Yeah.
curves?
They're caught in polygons. Yeah.
Jeez, it's mad.
But the characters like in the NBA were just like, I can't. They're just loads of shapes put together. It's like if you gave a 5-year-old a pencil and went, draw daddy, and it's these massively long arms, really big head, and lanky body running around. Yeah,
And the movement is even
the
worse.
movement's even worse. Well, because they moved quite realistically, but the problem was because of their shapes and there was no kind
It
of
just
flex
didn't
or
look, yeah.
It just
it's the way they did the dribble. It's like I said, it just looked so real when they did it. So, like I said, it was always out, but then when you came in, it was. Even back then, I was just, oh my God, this looks so... Look the way he dunked that. You can even see the net moving and everything. But yeah, it was just one of those ones where we took a gamble renting it. We probably thought it was going to be like, it's the next FIFA, but with basketball. But no, just a lot of multiplayer couch co-op, and it had to go on the list. So that's my pick. Total NBA 96. Let's go to Gals, number 5.
My 5 is, again, is an era where if you look back at it, it's just like, what the hell? Like, it's all blocks. And it's I wouldn't say my first introduction to football game. There was one actually on the Mega Drive, which I was talking about, where it was similar, like pixelated, and it's like an overhead view. I can't remember the name of that one.
Soccer.
It must be that one.
Yeah. Sensible Soccer.
So after the Mega Drive, I got the PlayStation, and from the PlayStation, my very first 2 games were I can't remember, Crime Fighters or some game like that, and a football game called Three Lions. Don't know if you.
I don't.
No one's ever heard of it. No. Oh my God! It's. Do you know? Wait, hold on. Just hit me out. Hit me out. Okay. The only reason is in it because it has.
So Three Lions is number 5.
3 Lions number 5, right? Because it has fond memories. Now it's not the best of games because it is my first venture into football games. First venture into football because I'm like, whoa, and it's not great. It's not great, but there's moments in the game where like you would score a goal like a bicycle kick.
Yeah.
And obviously I didn't know how to play. I'm still a new gamer. And I would just be like, oh my God, like shouting at me. They did this, the super volley and there was one occasion, there's you play as an Argentina player. I still remember this day. And they had this footballer called Batistuta, I can't say his name. He's an Argentine striker.
Yeah.
And then when he scores, only him, it comes out as Batty goal. I did not. I was like, what's going on? Like, why is he? What? Because obviously that term back then was
not complimentary. Yes.
Yeah. And I thought, why are they calling him that? Like, what's he done? I didn't know. But apparently that's and it wasn't as extensive as like every player. Like later on when you're playing FIFA and Pro, every player will play differently. You'll have your better players who run faster. They're all similar, Gade, but that every time that player scored, it was just Batico and it's like Robbie choppy graphics. But yeah, it's not the. I know Chris is just like shaking his head.
It's
like I never played FIFA in the PlayStation 1 era. It was Three Lions, and that's my sort of venture into it.
Was he just playing as England? From the name, I'm gathering like
I think it's just a
World Cup kind of
game, but I think it's called Three Lions based on just England. But you can play as other national teams, but it's just called Three Lions. It's so bad, dude. But I enjoyed it. Me and my brothers enjoyed it.
You had FIFA and you had International ISS, International Superstar Soccer.
See, I didn't know about that.
At that point. And then obviously this like you know when you read the magazines back in the day and you get the 9s and the 10s.
Yeah. So
3 Lions was always like 3. Like
it was 3 for 3.
Yeah, but like the problem was like with sports games, you meant to like if you shoot sort of like put it on the corner, you just shoot. But this had a
I didn't even know what it had.
A fucking target. This was like this. So
really?
While you're shooting, you had to aim the target, which was like just fucking going all over the screen. And if you were lucky, you got it basically on target.
Oh, wow.
The gameplay was just really... But if it was your first ever one, it's
a time where like I wasn't up to date with that. I wasn't getting magazines. It was literally I just got the console.
Yeah.
I had this.
Was it part of the bundle? Or was it given to you?
I can't remember. I honestly can't remember.
So take this game off me.
You get this one free because we can't sell it.
But if you get a FIFA now, there's always this odd other game that it's not quite up there. I didn't know. I just thought this is brilliant. This is wicked. Like I knew football
game ever.
But yeah, I had so much fun.
3D Batty.
There was always a fallout for me.
Look it up. It's weird. It completely. I was like, are they allowed to do this? I was like, this is bad. And obviously they had this sort of controversy about England versus Argentina. I thought it was like maybe the guys who made it hate Argentina so badly, so they called this guy Batty Goal or something. It was bad. But apparently that's how they celebrate it when he scores. Apparently, but yeah, that's I know it's not appreciated but it's one of those fond memories that I have.
That's it. It's all about the memories.
Yeah. And then that kind of paved way to my other list. So cool. I had to put it in there.
Nice. So let's go to the number 4s.
Number 4.
Back to Mario for your number 4, sir.
So, the reason I spoke so much during Chris's NBA Jam is because NBA Jam is my number 4.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
First clash of the night.
I think kind of everything's been said about it. I think like it was the first game where you actually heard proper voices. Like Rise from the Grave was one thing, but it was very muffled and not very good.
That's right.
As where this was, you could actually crisply hear the voices. The characters, when they came up on screen, they weren't photographs, but they were as close to photographs as you got on a console at that sort of time of the individuals that are playing. So like you did get your Jordans, your Scottie Pippen. I don't think Magic was around at that point, but you had all those players in there, and it just kind of, it made you realise about basketball. Like you were looking at the game, you were seeing all these teams that you'd never heard of. I've never heard of the Nuggets. I know the Bulls, but I don't know the Nuggets. I don't know the Celtics. I don't know. And you were seeing you knew about Lakers and stuff like that. And it just brought it all kind of back to reality. And it started me watching kind of basketball from there as well. I didn't really carry that on so much after the game kind of fell to the wayside. But such a great game. So much fun. You had the cheat modes as well, so you could have all those modes. You know, big head mode, fireball. I think you had robot mode as well, or you made your players slightly bigger as well, so you could just walk up and dunk the balls. All sorts of weird stuff that you could do. But it was such a great game for the time, and the Mega Drive as well. Like it didn't really have any sport games that were great, and this was one of the great sports games of the time, and it changed the way, because the camera moved with the characters, because it wasn't like before you had football games and stuff like that where you had the entire pitch or field on the screen. This was actually like it moved the camera left and right. It panned with the characters, and the only time you'd seen that was like we discussed, like fighting games where the camera would pan with the characters. As with this would go left to right as you went dribbling down the one side of the field and then dribbling down the other. You actually followed the characters as they went. So yeah, it's such a great game, and realistic for the console era, I think, or the early console era.
Yeah, going to what you're saying about it being one of the best sports games, but wasn't Sega at the time like really behind sports games?
Oh yeah,
like they were all on the Mega Drive at first, weren't they, or something, or the Genesis, whatever.
So I think
they were behind, like they just pumped everything. They were like, they believed in
that was one of
anything on the product on the Mega Drive. They just believed.
But they got like a big audience target, didn't they, from sports games, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, they know I think before computers, because they were only just starting in the generation of computers at that point, weren't we? So it's the first it was the second console, because you had the Master System.
Yes.
But this was the first sort of gaming one. So before you had that, lads and children, all they did was play sports, or you just played sports as a game.
The Master System was basically your platform game. Like the platform game was a little bit of Flight Sim, but mainly like your Space Invaders style. Your Space Invaders style shooters. Your Alex the Kids, a little bit of kind of RPG stuff, but not massively. And then you had like Sonic the Hedgehog, you had Wonder Boy, Alex Kidd, all of those. And then the Genesis comes along, and the SNES had kind of at that point come along, and the SNES didn't have a lot of sports games on it, but the sports games were all Mario based.
They were all friendly. Yeah. They were all friendly as well.
All kind of cutesy and stuff like that. And the SNES kind of went for the whole, we have Mario, like what have you got? And so Genesis and that and Mega Drive had Sonic, but they also then had the advantage of having sports games on it. And that kind of, for those that were interested in playing sports, but also who were interested in computer games, that was the open door for everyone to come into it.
To be fair, on the Mega Drive, there was like you had NBA, but NHL was just as great as
NHLPA.
And like the other sports, they literally went for any sport, and literally, if you thought of it, you could kind of have it.
Do you remember there was a cricket one? EA Sports did a cricket game as well.
I don't remember the one on the...
I remember the ones on PlayStation.
There was Brian Lara. Brian Lara came out originally.
I knew Brian something.
Yeah, the Mega Drive and stuff like that. So there were all these sports games kind of...
Andre Agassi.
Yeah,
the only reason I didn't play that one is because I didn't really have an interest in cricket sort of thing. No. But I know for a fact, I loved NBA. I know if I was American in America...
Yep.
100%, I would love basketball. I would love American football, and probably hockey to a degree that I'd literally follow all of those, and I'd be buying those franchises. And if I was American, pretty much my list would consist of those sort of franchises and games and that sort of thing.
And I think Nintendo kind of did the opposite. They kind of just went more of like fun side, whereas Sega was more serious.
They were kind of closed shop for a long time.
I think Mario, Nintendo will bring out Mario Tennis and all that sort of Mario.
So like the cutesy sort of games
side of it, which kind of
they were good.
And then the one really going to Tyson Punch Out or something like that.
So we had Super Punch Out, which was
the
next one up from the old NES system. So that was the closest they had to a sports game for it. Was kind of like the boxing side of things.
There was options out there. If you're like you said, if you're like Americans, you're going to be like, I'm going to get a Mega Drive because it's got all the serious games. Whereas if you're not much of a sports fan, you're going to go Nintendo.
Yeah, Nintendo.
Yeah.
There you go.
Nice. NBA Jam.
NBA Jam.
Nice. Over to Chris for number 4 then.
Oh, okay. So my number 4 was my first and only sort of like futuristic sort of sports game. So this one is 1998, and it was by Rage Games, and it was on the PlayStation 1, and it was called Dead Ball Zone. Do you remember?
Oh, no, I don't remember this.
On PlayStation?
On the PlayStation.
In 98?
98.
Wow.
So this one...
Early.
So this one, like, it was a cross between, like, basically Rollerball.
Yeah.
I do. I remember the poster for this now.
Rollerball.
Yes, I
and
remember.
it was like, it had the fluidity of, like, NBA Jam, and, like, it had, like, the sort of, like, tactics of, like, hockey and the movement. And you basically, these characters didn't look the best, but they were like little coloured Halo guys sort of thing. And they're like armoured suits. And basically it's like, is it like lacrosse with a ball?
Yes.
But you're just kind of throwing it to each other.
That's it.
But at the same time, you can punch the shit out of them.
Yeah.
You could like use chainsaws. You could use explosives, and you bounce the ball off the wall.
That's
and
it
was just but just the amount of fun like you had with your mates, just like either like getting the last cheap goal, or if you had to use a bomb or something, you're like, oh, you had to be a pussy and use a bomb, didn't you? You know, like it's just all of that. It's just the amount of fun we just had with this, because the 98 was it when it first came out. You kind of had this Tenchu. There was like when there was blood and gore, GTA, you were like, you were on it sort of thing as a kid, because you were like, just mum, get this, you know, you kind of sneak it into the pack. Right. And then it's just like
she kind of had to, didn't she?
It was also pre the games kind of age ratings.
Yeah, but
you had something, but it wasn't kind of enforced as much as it.
Well, it was on there, but you could still go to the counter and get it.
Depending on the person, you might get a job's worth. Who goes,
barely ever though.
Yeah.
How old are you, mate?
But like this was at a time like where I must have been about 14, 15 sort of time. So every Friday night, it was like me and my 4 mates, we'd meet up either at my house or my mate's house in the same, you know, we all lived in Maidabao. And it was like, we'd go to each house, and it was like computer night. And then it was like from 7 or 6, you know, as soon as you had dinner, up to the house, all the way up until the mum
scoffed the dinner down because you wanted to get up there.
Or you paused your game halfway.
Do you know what time it fucking is? Fuck off home. You know, like that sort of time, you know, you just got to sneak home sort of thing. And like, and it just, from that sort of moment, from that, the gaming sort of started, you know, like the long story.
Good days.
The good days.
Good days.
You look back, you knew they were good days. That you don't look at those days going, oh, I'll look back. You know they were good days. Well, at the time, but you do miss those sort of. But even now, you can't recreate.
Nah, different era, different time.
Just
different
the environment you're in.
Shit talking back as a kid was just.
It was also
even if it was the same game, you reckon you can do that now?
Well, yeah.
So you all go back and play this one game.
Yeah, but you know, like the way you talk to them back in the day, you can't talk to people like that. You know, you
can.
do, but you even you are more reserved now in what you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like back then as a kid, you were
ruthless.
Ruthless. Yeah. It was like it was
not give a
savage.
shit.
That's right. Yeah.
And like if you saw a chink, you were all night just chipping away.
I just remember one of the guys I used to play games with, and I can't remember what we were playing. I think it was like NHLPA or something. And we were playing the game, and I just turned around to him as he scored the goal and I went, "Your sister's upstairs." And I turned back and started playing the game. And he looked at me and he lost a goal against me and he goes, "What do you mean by that?" And it went backwards and forwards, goal for goal, like a comment. I was like, "You know what I'm going to do." So, I don't know what you're going to do. And it just kept going backwards and backwards. And the chink in his armour was his sister. He didn't even like his sister. But because I mentioned it during this game, that was it. He was thrown off completely. But those were the sort of things
The
you could
mind
get away
games.
with.
The mind game.
The mind games.
It's there. It's like.
And sometimes the mind game, like with me, it would start before you even like got to the person's house, or like you know what I mean, or the day before, like you know you're having a tournament.
Before mental health, and before depression,
Dude,
it was like, oh, stop being a person. Just,
Just take it.
Just take it. And you could see that there was always one who like just got it more than the others. You could just like.
He's the one that's never won a game in their entire existence, and then you got your one mate that loses to them, and that mate, despite winning every game since that time, you're like, yeah, but you lost against so and so.
But
like,
your mates have to be.
Yeah.
You don't just go like.
Yeah, and thing is, and the annoying thing about it is like that is they will never let you forget if you had a shit night. That week is done.
Stuff still gets brought up to this day.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly, yeah.
Some like you've had to do
the
Facebook apologies.
The FIFA tournament of '97. Yeah, that's that sort of shit.
So this one, like, basically, you're just gliding around. So you could dive, you could jump, or like throw, and basically just attack. But the buttons it was just flawless. The pass never went straight, and if it did, it kind of went off the wall, and it looked like it was perfect. It was one of those games that you didn't play as a one player. If it was just like NFL, start, win the championship, and that's it. But it was all about just the combat of, because you didn't even have to, because it wasn't a sport. You didn't have to like the sport. You could like fighting games. You could like sport games. You could just, and then it's just hours of fun.
All out war.
All out fun.
Nice.
Dead Ball Zone.
Dead Ball Zone. That was it. Nice. My number 4 then. It's kind of already been mentioned, but sod it, let's do it. My number 4 is there's 2 versions of it, Punch Out or Mike Tyson's Punch Out for the NES. Kind of like Chris, I reminiscent memories of this. So basically, back when Nintendo was at its peak, late 80s, early 90s, we never had like blockbuster videos or anything like that at the time in this country anyway. And I was spending the weekend with my cousin, and I took my NES with me to his, and he took me to a video game rental shop, which was, I believe, was like in a small shop in Wandsworth Mall sort of thing. And I never knew there was a place where you could rent games. I thought it was always save up your pocket money and go buy new games. Yep. But this is an actual place you can actually go and borrow these for a weekend and take them back. I was like, holy cow, this is fantastic. When did this happen? So we rented, obviously, Mike Tyson's Punch Out. And that weekend was the weekend where we were just on this game, trying to get through each opponent, trying to study all their moves, and trying to just get through this and eventually get to... Tyson. I don't know if we had Tyson in the end, or I don't know.
He was hard, wasn't he? Or
Yeah.
It's impossible, dude, honestly.
one punch hit.
You never meant to complete these games.
No, this is it. But the thing was, what I loved about this, so I still own my original NES. That's the only console I still own, my original stuff, right? But do you remember, like, every time you finish a stage, there was a way you could either continue, end, or write down the code, the password, whatever it was. Yeah. So we were in my cousin's room. Like, we got to a point where, you know, they say dinner, go down, right? Oh shit, we got the password. We had no paper or pen around or anything, but so we found a pen. Still no paper. To this day, that code is embedded on my console on the side of it.
Nice.
And it's only like 4 digits or whatever it is, but it is still there to this day that will get me to Mike Tyson if I ever get the console again.
The funniest thing is, like, later on in life, the magazines came out, and in the magazines, they had every code.
Yeah. Every code under the sun, wasn't it? So, yeah, I mean, I remember,
that's
like...
iconic.
Every character, like, we stood there and said, like, he's going to do this, he's going, remember, and then you're going to do the...
weren't you? Like a behind angle.
It's like, you're right at the bottom, whatnot, and then...
They were always super massive. You're always this tiny weedy guy, and it was great because your reach always extended where your actual arm length. So, like, you were always jumping up to hit and stuff.
And this is it. It's like, go, punch, and then up, whoop, 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 and then you punch again and go, now block, now go, whoop, whoop. It's just like...
Because before this, the analog is like Sock and Rock and Robots, where you push the button and he literally just punches.
Does it.
This is very similar to that. There wasn't really kind of a hook or a jab or anything like that. It was like you just keep button bashing and hoping for the best.
Exactly, and then hopefully they weren't going to sway or block it yourselves, because they would, because you would have to hit them like 5 times just to get a bit of health gone. But if they hit you,
that's it. You're all the way down.
Especially Mike Tyson. I think when you get to him, he has one punch. That's it. You're out. So you really had to like get there and like one shot. Mike Tyson is the original one shotter. I'm telling you now. Dark Souls fans will know that, by the way. But yeah,
did you beat him?
Oh no, still to this day. And I've got more on all the consoles there on the back there, so I could hook it up and play it again. But I don't think I could ever do it. No chance. Damn. Even though there's probably videos on YouTube that tutorial it and whatnot.
How do you do it? Turn left.
You can't.
Down,
That's it. 1, 2.
So I sat there going, "It's impossible. Don't try."
This is it.
Game Genie.
Game Genie, of course.
Amazing bit of kit.
No, I just can't believe you just said like Mike Tyson, and then you rented a game. I'm like, fuck me, I didn't rent a game until like well in the 90s.
No, I like
so like the fact that you were renting NES games, I was like,
this is it.
Yeah,
this is what I'm saying.
Just blowing my mind.
The shop the other side of the railway tracks in Crawley.
Was it Gainesville?
Gainesville. Going there every week. Yeah, well, I was going there every weekend.
With £1 or £2, you could go in there with like. Just bought Metal Gear Solid when it come out.
My routine is if I remember going shop for mum, local shop, New Age, and then Blockbusters. I'm definitely going in. Like even if I'm not buying anything, I'm just like just browse.
So this Blockbuster was sort of the first one when I moved up here. Because everything down there was just into like little independent sort of like all days.
They were cool though. They were really
but
cool.
they weren't. They were just videos. They were just there was no.
Oh, did you not have a game one?
No, never had games until up here. So like, then it was like, oh shit.
Yeah,
that's a whole different.
Absolutely, a whole new ball game.
And Gainesville
I think Blockbuster was my first ever game shop.
Was it really?
Yeah.
See, that probably would have been mine if you hadn't shown me this one here.
That's why, like, when you said, like, I was like, fuck me, how early were you? Like,
because
I didn't know that it was out there, and you had to wait until the 90s.
Because my dad always took me to video stores when we were kids and stuff, and I was like, I never knew there was a video game version of it. It probably didn't last very long at the time.
Honestly, it was like such a treat. You go to like on a Friday night with your mum or something,
get a movie,
and you get a movie for that night, and then 2 or 3 others for like the whole weekend. Like, it's just
so good.
Oh yeah,
sport for choice now.
Oh yeah, no,
I completed games just by renting them.
Did you?
Good memories back in the video shop.
So epic weekend with my cousin, and the fact that the code's still on my console to this day is unreal. It's crazy. So Punch Out number 4. Let's go to Gal's number 4.
My one is probably a console bundle that everyone's probably bought. Even John's mum or grandma's probably still got it now. It's a bundle that came with Wii Sports.
Wii Sports,
nice.
So it's I'm sure everyone's
it's the family game. It's the one that everyone plays bowling, everyone plays tennis, everyone plays volleyball or whatever else.
To be honest, the only ones I always went back to the tennis.
Yep.
And the bowling.
Baseball I found hard.
Yeah,
I could never quite. Like, it's either that or
I lost a lot of laps to baseball.
If you go,
I think everyone did.
Just like that.
Some people
smash it.
I think baseball used to make me laugh because when in the early days of the Wii, you used to get the viral videos that used to come out from that. Used to be people who didn't put the old wrist strap on.
They didn't have a strap.
And
they didn't come with a strap. They had to. That was an
aftermarket. It was an aftermarket thing.
Too many fucking saps were just lobbing it through their TVs. Yeah,
and it was the early days. So not everyone had an LCD TV. So what you'd actually see is like these massive glass TVs just getting smashed up and like exploding, where a Wii remote has gone straight through it. Yeah,
I lucky I didn't break anything. But what I always thought was like it's just a wicked party game.
Yeah,
and it's always a really good icebreaker. Like I remember times where I've taken it to parties and you go into you don't know anyone. You take that out. Okay, and then by an hour. You get to know everyone, but then everyone's just like, just chatting away. It was really, really, what's the word? Like, it wasn't even like hard to pick up.
No,
it's just like
actual movements. It was the natural movements you were doing. So like, you talk about bowling. Like in the bowling one, it was
curl
literally
felt so good.
and that was it. You could actually curl it off.
Literally
Yeah,
curl
yeah.
it.
With some stink.
Oh.
Yeah, that's it. You could actually give it a little flick at the end, a little flourish,
Yeah.
and everyone be looking, going, "What did you just do?" Because it went over there, and then it went over there. It's like, well.
Did you ever let go of it when it went behind and then they all freak out?
Yeah, it's a little bit.
But sometimes with the bowling, you could. I think you could just flick it like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
You don't even need to do the whole.
No,
motion.
you don't need to do the whole
I just
motion. Yeah.
and it's like,
It was just great making little me's.
Yeah,
You
so
know,
good.
like
Hours on end making your little character.
And the good thing about it is it's not just 2 player. I think the tennis goes up to 4 players.
Yes.
Yeah.
2v2. Oh, amount of time. How much fun we had with that.
Yeah.
I love this game, and it would have made my list if it was still like,
Relevant.
you know, like if my
Yeah.
family was still playing the Wii, you know, like
I think it was
during that wave, it was
It did.
awesome, and
Yeah.
I played the shit out of this game. 'cause
Everyone did end up buying it. I'm
Yeah, yeah.
assuming.
But yeah, because you got the game at times when you normally you'd be playing with the family, and there's no gaming at that point. So you get extra gaming, and once you finish there, you go upstairs and do your own gaming.
Yeah.
But then
And
it, then it became a game where, like, you know, when you have that annoying kids come around and you don't want them to touch your main console. You're like, let's play
Play the Wii,
yeah.
yeah. Have you ever played this before? Oh, play this.
Yeah,
You're
play
connected.
Yeah. So it became like that, but what I was lost what I was gonna say.
But it was used to the Wiimote as well. Was like, so you had the trigger on it. So the trigger would be your release. So you'd hold the trigger.
That's
and
for
then
the
you'd roll
bowling,
it.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
but also like for the tennis and stuff like that, to get certain shots, you'd kind of hit the trigger as you hit the thing, and also
There was a trick to it, I know, but yeah.
And there's also a button on top, the bigger button on top, and you'd hit that as well, and you could hit the two at the same time.
That's with
and
the
you'd get-
serve.
Yep.
The serve, that's it. Yeah, it's coming back.
You
There
get
were
like a
some
top
days you were
spin.
just like,
yeah.
I don't know why I'm so off. You know, like, you couldn't work out, like, you were so off. Like, you're normally good.
You'd be
You're
like, those batteries. Batteries have gone on.
batteries are
yeah.
shit. You're like,
So the only good thing is that I've still got
Ditching.
my console and my copy, because obviously every time I play my PlayStation 5, my kids are, I want to play. So there's going to be a time where I'm going to take it out and just be like, yeah, you know, this is yours now. I'm passing it over to you. You play with that now.
And then you'll hear the
Just
TV
need to get a
and-
TV adapted to it now.
And then you hear the
My
TV
el-
smash from
yeah.
upstairs. You'll be
That's
like,
it.
what was that?
You didn't put the wristband on.
But, yeah,
nothing.
yeah, it's a short and sweet, one.
Nothing,
that we-
tra-la-la. Nice, mate. Good
we
pick.
thought, so I got to put it in there.
No, it's
Has to
good.
be done, mate. Obviously, yeah. No,
Such a great game.
that's literally no brainer. All right, then let's go to the number 3s.
Number 3.
Back to Mario for your number 3, sir.
So my number 3 is one of my favourite sports ever. I've been to see him 3 times this year. I've been to see him 3 times last year, and it is Madden. But I'm going Madden 2022.
Very recent then.
Yeah, so I got back into Madden after I got the Xbox, and EA decided that they were going to give you games for free if you had an Xbox subscription.
Of course, yep.
And I saw.
How do you
Madden.
do that with PlayStation, Gal? Oh, you
Yeah.
don't, do you?
I do.
Carry
I
on,
get
sorry.
free games every month.
You get 3 or 3 games every month.
Free games every month. Last month was Dead Space. Take that, Xbox.
Yeah, we've only got like hundreds of thousands.
I mean, we got
and,
Call
yeah,
of Duty, but hey,
yeah.
doesn't matter.
Fuck
Anyway,
Xbox Pass.
So it's Madden 2022. So I have a season ticket every year that I go watch American football up in London. If I had the choice, I'd fly to America and come back.
Of
but
course,
that's not an
right?
option. I love American football, and Madden was my first ever American football game, and it was on the Mega Drive that I first ever played it. And even then, although the Mega Drive version it had its place, it was pretty shit. And then I've come back and started playing it again, and it's like, this is unbelievable. The players look like the players, they move like players, defensive lines, their calls, you can change your formations, you can set up your offense, your defense. The one thing that Madden always did was teach me about how to play American football, and it helped kind of understand more of the nuances around strategy and how the game is played and how you do certain offenses against different ones. You know, how Mary plays, how you can do 2 runs, then maybe a pass, then a run, when to use a run, when to use a pass, all these things. And then when you're in defensive, like when to do a blitz and when to knock out the quarterback. And that was always it, sacking the quarterback was the thing. You got to get your guy around the corner and get him in there. And it was really such a great idea as well. And playing it 2-player is really good as well. So you actually get to see like the 2 ends of the pitch and the split screen. It's just such a great game. for American football fans, it is kind of the go-to game. There isn't anything else because Madden does it all.
Madden is the
game.
They do like an arcade version of American football?
I think they did originally. I think.
So I can't think of one, but Madden. To be honest.
Madden's the one that goes there. But I'm sure there was one on like the Atari, and it was like the most basic thing. It was like
Techno or something. It was it was very sides. And there was it was.
And you just run at them with the ball. Like you throw the ball, catch the ball, and then go. There was no kind of strategy to it. It was like the basics of the game. But NFL Madden is so good, but also to the point where now EA have done a college football one as well. So
they're just trying to pump that. Aren't they?
NCAA has just come out on top of Madden, so you can actually play the college games. So you can pick future stars of
huge,
NFL,
though, isn't it? Yeah. Like college is not college.
Friday Night
here.
Lights the game.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
that is a great series.
But yeah, I just love the fact, and the one player on it was always kind of really, really good. So that you didn't actually need two player with this game. You could just play the one player, and it was all the way through the season. So you get to play in your league, you get to play in your division, you then play through. And what they brought in 2022 was the story mode. So you couldn't create your own player like you would normally, but you were given this player and you were building up his status. So you're either going to play him as defensive, you're going to play him as offensive, and you were going to build him up as this character in the game and bring him through. So this
like
character,
a career mode.
Yeah, like career mode, and it really was. Yeah, it is exactly that, a career mode. But you, depending on how you play him in your games, or how he's activated in your games, is the player that he comes. So you either have him, you can choose him to be like offensive or quarterback or whatever. But later on in the game, you get the choice to flip him over because he's not succeeding so well, or you're not doing so well in that position with him. So you can then go, okay, so I'm going to play him in defence now and then run it that way. It's such a great idea, such a great game. Madden is like the go-to American football.
Yeah, and you've done it since Mega Drive.
I love American football, but
same.
I've never played Madden. Well, I played Madden once on the PlayStation, which was, I think it was around 97, 98. And we, to this day, call it loading.
Yes.
Because I didn't know the rules of American football, so you had to move like 10 yards, but you didn't really, it just felt like I was loading every 10 seconds for a good 30, 40 seconds.
Yep.
And I never played another one after that, but it never stopped me.
Like in the game still.
Like in the game, and it's more a case of like, it's just an outlay to go and I would like to play it. It's one of those ones like, because I know EA would do it really well.
Really good.
And I guess the loading time's like pretty quick. And I know the rules now, so it's not so much of a...
This now is a completely different game, so there is no loading kind of per se. And the switches between kind of plays, and the ability to choose. There's so many different formations. Like back on the Mega Drive, you had like 12 if you were lucky formations.
Yeah.
So you could pick your 12 formations.
It was hit and hope. It was literally button bash to start a player. I don't know what I've just done. I don't know what I've run.
Yeah, I've pushed X 3 times and hope for the best.
Hope for the best. And it just never resonated for me as a game, and it's just not a game I've ever played. It got 15 minutes.
Yep, and that was it.
That was all, and it's never ever been played. But it's a great sport.
I can recommend playing Madden now, and more than I can back on the PlayStation days. Mega Drive days, it had no loading times, but it wasn't the greatest NFL.
It's quite choppy though, still, wasn't it? Yeah.
But when you come to it now, like it's so much better, and the plays and stuff, you get the timeouts, you get all the rules as well. You get your punt kind of meter to kick the ball. There's a lot more to it.
Yeah.
When you score your touchdown, you even get the option now to go, do I want to go for the extra 2? Do I want to go for the 1 point? And you get to set the formations. You get to choose as well. I haven't made the 10 yards on this last. I'm on 4th down. What do I do? We can punt it, or you can do a punt fake, which you were never able to do before. So your punter then throws the ball, and because, of course, it's not your quarterback doing the pass, there are restrictions in the way that he passes. So he may get it on target, he may not get on target. Slant runs, you can do reverse slants. It's a
really confusing sport to kind of like try and
learn.
Of course,
it's a real easy sport to like just understand. Yeah. Like you kind of want. To that probably sounded like a load of jargon. But I was like, I just knew exactly what you were talking about. But when I started to play it, I didn't know anything of that. I didn't even know you had to get 10 yards.
No. You got 4 attempts to do 10. So your go.
I thought I was playing Bulldog.
Still your go, yeah. Yes,
like literally run and hit or rugby pretty much,
See, I would like to get into Madden, but I've got no clue at all.
I feel too old, like... feel like granddad, like, oh, let's jump in now. You know,
So Madden, when you go through the career mode, does like every other game. So you literally have here's the start, here's the training, here's learning how to use your player, here's learning how to do the game.
Does teach you.
So it teaches you how to play the game for a beginner, because I think that's an essential mechanic in a lot of the sports games. Like if you're going single player, or if you've never played the sport, have no understanding of the sport whatsoever, you need something to tie it in. And Madden does that quite well with the career mode. In like,
you got to love it for a career mode.
Yeah.
So that's where the grind is. It's like that's where if you don't like it, you just play the odd exhibition games with your mates. Or you play untold amount of hours deep into the night, and you're like, oh fuck, it's birds tweeting.
Because when you first start with the career mode in Madden, you play a game, and it doesn't put you in like at the beginning of the game. It's not the kickoff. You're midway through the game, and you either, if you're like me, you try to win it, and I have won it once. Then you get to go to the next stage. But if you lose, he goes, oh, well, you know, it's just the start of your career. Let's go through the basics. And you go through the basics.
Oh, okay.
So it's quite good in that aspect.
So if you win that game, you skip
it and go straight into the next level.
That's wicked.
But if you lose, he goes, let's go through the basics, and you go through the basics. This is an offensive line. You now need to get this. And so, yeah, it does break it down for you a little bit, which, you know, I don't know any other sports games that do it. Like FIFA doesn't have a career mode where it goes, this is how you kick the ball. How do you pass the ball? Like, I know originally, you would have those kind of things in it, but it doesn't have like the red power meter for shots and stuff like that, or how you can use the thumbstick to create certain moves and stuff. But Madden kind of breaks it down. It brings it into the game and makes it more playable for a beginner as well.
So how do they do the bit? Well, in football they call it a free kick.
Yeah,
and they have to in a Madden they got to put it for the two.
So the punt, the last. So the extra point is done exactly the same as you'd expect it. So you have to collect the ball. So when the game starts, you have to get the ball to the player. So they hike the ball out, catches it, you set up the punt. That's done automatically, and then your player, to get it in position, you've already set up where he's going to angle the shot and the height, and then you just kind of go for the power meter at that point.
Right.
So it's all in that split second of get the shot in place, get the angle right, and then get your power meter right.
Because what I wouldn't say one of my favourite mechanic, or one I really liked, was when you have a free kick. I can't remember one of the FIFAs. We have the image of the ball, and you got to
you hit the angle of the ball. Where you hit.
You can place it in the middle for a power, or if you place it on the side, it will curl it.
It doesn't quite do that for this because, of course, it's an egg-shaped ball. But you're angling, so you see the line of where you want it to go and where it is going to go.
Okay.
And you can overkick it, like you can hit it, but also you get wind meters up there as well.
Oh, really?
Because you can actually see, like in golf games, like the PGA stuff, you get the wind meter showing you, you know, this direction is the wind and it's blowing this much. So you then work out from there. Oh, I need to hit it this hard at this angle, or maybe go right slightly to get it across. Yeah.
Okay.
More mechanics in that game than you might think. But it's such a great game.
Yeah. Nice. Good. Anything else on it?
Nope. Madden 22.
Nice. Ooh. Try and top that, sir.
Yeah, no. I am going for a sequel to the one that's already been said. So we're going to the PS1, and it is International Track and Field 2.
Hey. Another one in there. Nice.
International. Yeah, so that's why I wasn't...
That's why you kept Sturm on that one.
Yeah, it was kind of like... this game, like when my stepdad, he had a PlayStation, and he ended up buying Track and Field, and it just became so easy to sort of play. And then when we took it to my mate's house and started playing it like on our Friday nights, and then it became intense. Like you just saying about the button bashing.
Yep.
Mate Wayne, he's like rapid with that. Like I had like a biro.
Yeah.
And then my mate Matt had his Spider-Man. It was just like, it was this fucking, he had this rounded back, and the way he could get this thing to, you know, and Spider-Man sort of became illegal, you know. It's like,
right? Come on, that's cheating.
It's like, you know, but it was like, it had everything that Track and Field, but like it put it into the PlayStation graphics, so it became full 3D, and you had like the javelin, you had hammer throw, discus, pole vault, had all of the good all of the ones.
I hated the pole vault because you had to get it above the line for so long, and then your other meets had to go up and stay there, didn't it? Do you remember that?
Yeah, but the test of if you were good at this game was weightlifting, clean and jerk, like 300, and like the power bar, which you had to get to right to the top, but the bit where you had to push the button was so tiny. It was like that was like the benchmark of it. Like, but the thing was that was good. It was like one was really good at like 100 meters. You could never win 100 meters with that, and then one was like great with like hurdles and weightlifting. So it was always pretty close. And it took up a good couple of hours. You know, when you're doing a full event. You know, like
if you're doing the full kind of games, then you'd kind of pick. If I remember correctly, you could pick 3, 5, or all of the events.
Yes.
And all the events would take you virtually all day.
All day. So like you normally did 5 normally, and then it was like 3 if it was.
But could you pick? When you pick 5, could you pick the 5? I couldn't remember if they did it randomly
custom,
or not.
Or you could do like an Olympic, like a tournament. I don't think it was called Olympics.
No, it was called something else.
Championship or something. It was like, but it was just. But this kind of spawned my love for like any sort of button bashing or like an Olympic sort of game. I've sort of always got a soft spot.
There's very few games now that have that mechanic. Like, in order for you to run really quickly, you don't push like the triggers left and right really quickly.
Well, I don't think your controller would like. They were sort of made.
Christ, could you imagine doing that with the bumpers?
Oh my god!
There's no chance
that you get arthritis. Your knuckles are just massive at the end of it. Like,
can you remember the stigma of like if you went round to your mates and he's got like a Mad Catz, like you're like, what the fuck is that? I'm not using that dirty shit.
It's your controller.
Turbo
you use it once and then you'd always bring your controller with you. It's just
why is it purple see through? And what the fuck is a Mad Cat?
just like why just spend the extra?
Why are you cheaping out?
Yeah, just cheap it up. You're like,
I get it nowadays. I'm not paying 70 quid for a controller.
Not now, but they weren't back then.
No, they were like 10, 15 pound for a controller.
What was the most common ones? Is it not high tech? No.
It was Logitech.
No, Logitech.
It was Mad Catz,
was the cheap one.
It was the Mad Catz. Now it's like Turtle.
You must have had a Mad Catz memory card for your PS2.
I can't remember that
because they were like the cheapest ever. And they never worked.
Yeah, Mad Catz memory card that turns out like a big boot into your.
That's it. Yeah.
Like, what is that?
I can't remember. Mad Catz.
You know when you see it.
After like 3 game saves, it would just fail.
No, it was the fun we had like during this time. It was like our computer night and just whacked it on. It was so easy and quick to play. You just like, should we get it on? Yeah, whack it on, because it wasn't one person was just straight out the best, because you never want to play you never want to play a game where you've got no chance.
But nobody ever wanted to do hurdles.
No, because it was kind of impossible.
Run, jump, run, jump, run, jump.
And you had to time the jump as well. Yeah.
You could just sort of like run as fast as you could.
I think in the end everyone just bashed the hurdles, didn't they? It's like run.
Get another guy behind you to press the button.
But yeah, it was like I loved like the hammer front. You try to do it,
spin it,
and then you try to get it. And like that feeling of knowing that you got the power, you've got like 53% on the. You're like, this is
and
good.
You get the timing right. So you got the speed, you got the power up, and then you hit the button, and it hits the fence behind you, or it just hits the guy to the side.
And the good thing about that, it was like you had that arcade sort of feel, like because you'd save onto either your mate's memory card or my memory, and it'd be like
the record
CEB or I don't know what your initial or ANT I'm guessing. Like you'd have your free. You don't get that anymore. You don't do it. It was like a
your gamer tag goes in, but you had your little thing because you go to an arcade machine and you'd be really happy to say, look.
But
you'd find, number 1.
I don't know if it was like you, but if you'd got that, next time you come round, you wouldn't. You actually played it. Yeah, I could have you top.
But you could see all the times that they tried it as well, because like when you first turned up, it had like GER or MAK or something, like all the different kind of ones they put in there originally. And then as you started playing it, like you'd put yours in number 1, you'd be like, yeah, I'm proud of that. And when you come back, you see like 1, 7, G, B. You'd be like, oh, practicing, were you?
Exactly.
But
no, it's just a great game, and it kind of like. I don't know why, but like Track and Field 3, I don't think ever came out, and it never. It's not like.
I don't remember any after this game.
It was Konami as well, so it wasn't like a company that went
under. No,
and I believe it sold well. It was always up there, and it had a good rating in the magazines.
Also
it was never like a
as well. This was the thing; it wasn't just a console game; it was an arcade game as well. So, like. I think it just vanished after that, didn't it?
But and then it started to get the actual Olympic ones.
Konami were doing bits back in the day. Now
they're great.
Now
they were.
sell what?
Yeah, well, they were.
Well, they're doing whatever they called, like, you know, the coin games or whatever. Yeah, it's a shame.
It is. Anything else on Dragonfield?
No, it's just good times playing it. There was a lot of memories. It wasn't the best fluid game. It was very blocky, but it was just. It was a lot of fun.
Missed track and field for some reason. I did.
But it kind of like your mates had to buy into it because it was like if they didn't buy into it, it was like
if they weren't invested in it. There's no point. It was
on the
just
shelf.
a solo game.
You'd never play track and field if more than one person. It was always a 3 or 4 player game, and I think this is like the birth of the multi-tap. Because it just come out.
When you picked the sports, though, did you ever pick a couple for yourself and then one your mate was really shit at? It's on purpose, right?
It's always part of the game.
Like swimming, I can't do that. Yeah, nice, mate. Good pick. My number 3 was not on my list, but it's back on the list now because we had a little technicality here with what comes as a sports game. And this is a Frisbee game from 1994. And it is Windjammers on the Neo Geo.
Oh, you spoke about this before.
Yes, there's a reason why I went to Pepe's Golden Griddle was for Windjammers. Windjammers I absolutely fucking love. And this, for me, is one of my all-time favourite couch co-op games of all time. I think it was number 1, wasn't it, on that episode? Go back and listen to that episode. But anyway, Windjammers. Now, how do I explain Windjammers? It is, like I said, a Frisbee game, and it's the first to 15 points. You pick a character, you pick a court. Behind each player is a scoring grid. So let's just say that's your grid. So 2 quarters of that, 2 bits of it is 3 points. And the tiny middle bit in between is 5-pointer. Obviously, try and get the Frisbee past one another to try and get the score up to 15. But this is like Frisbee on crack. And it is like the best thing ever. They are so fast, it is so quick, and it's all about sliding, catching Frisbee, flicking it back or not. But it's not just the simplicity of flicking it back. It's like, I can do curves with this thing. I can fling it in the air. I can do all these things. Like if I knock it and then manage to catch it, I can do this amazing ability, which, is like a Hadouken for these characters. But with a Frisbee, good fucking God, this is amazing. It is so good.
It's a pixelated and over.
It's pixelated. It's over the shot, over the head shot, sorry. It got re-released. When did it get released?
2016? I want to say 17.
17.
We were playing at night shift.
Anyway, it got re-released on the PS4. I don't know why it got re-released because it was overshadowed for years.
Same graphics or
same thing? Absolutely exact same thing, right?
It's not outdated or anything.
It's no way it's outdated. It's everyone got to do it. I bought it. You bought it. It came out on the Switch. We were playing it on night shifts. We were playing it. We were hovering around it like it was a football game, and people were watching us like,
we were just screaming,
"Come on, you can do it. You can get that 5-pointer."
And each map was different. The way you score, and every character had different power-up
All
moves.
the courts were different because you'd have something that would divert your Frisbee if you hit in the middle, and it would go the other way if you flick that way. Dude, come on.
It's so
it
cool.
is so good, right?
I really like the art style. Like the characters were like in the 90s, sort of those massive glasses.
Typical, Scott Miller from the UK is the best character. But if it's the actual Japanese version, he's actually from Korea, so they completely changed it. But I just love it when they got the Frisbee above them, it's coming down to them, and they charge their ability up, and they always have some sort of catchy thing before they catch it. It's like, here we go, and then they flick it. It's oh my God,
carnage.
It's like watching a kids TV theme song.
Yep.
Right. There's flashy. There's sounds.
It's all over the place.
It's arcadey. It's a great feel. It's controls are so simple. Literally 2 buttons and.
One of the best feel is like obviously when you
slide to catch it last minute and you can flick it back, isn't it?
If he does a power up move and you're like and then power up moves are impossible to stop, but by chance you'll stop it and he'll be like shocked. What the? And then
because you can catch it and it pushes you back a little bit, but sometimes it can push you back into the scoring thing because it's that powerful. Oh my God, it's unreal. It is a game I'm still undefeated on. Challenge me, I don't care. Anyone challenge me. I've got it on there. I've got it in there. Let's play it.
After we stopped playing it. I stopped playing it.
You did because you couldn't beat me.
I couldn't beat him. So I secretly played for a year. And then I never got back to it.
Now it comes out.
Kept playing and playing. I'm like,
no way.
I didn't want to ask you to, you know that I've I've been practicing. So I waited and I completely forgot about it.
Did you really?
Yeah,
So you practiced the whole year and we never got to do it? Oh my God,
waiting
dude.
for you to ask me
I'd ask any time, dude.
Faded out.
I would play Windjammers on a heartbeat.
Well,
honestly.
I've never heard of it.
No.
Well, this is the second time I've heard of it because
so
obviously
You obviously heard that,
for the
yeah,
first
the
episode. But I've never heard of it. I've never played it. I've never seen it. I don't think, and nothing rings a bell on this one for it. It's
No.
But it sounds like
Amazing.
a bit like Dead Ball Zone without the violence, but like the carnage and the way you could throw stuff around. And just
Think of it almost like NBA Jam, but
Yeah, to a degree.
more like flashy, sort of quick, even quicker than NBA
Like I said,
Jam.
just think of any 80s kids intro thing, and it's that with a frisbee. Honestly, it's
But
crazy.
that could make a great game now if you made it.
I
A bit
think
up.
Having said that,
Well,
Windjammers 2 came out 5 years ago.
Did it?
It did.
Well, I'm just thinking, right, what we need to see is the training montage of G
Yes.
training to play the Windjammers.
I really want to see that. You know?
I'm gonna beat him. I'm so gonna beat him. Obviously, I wasn't playing that at
what
work.
was I
I was
doing?
playing that.
He's just halfway through. He's just forgotten what he's doing. He's
But
like,
instead of the
I'm gonna go
tiger,
home now, like
it's
Forrest
the
Gump.
helicopter. So
And what was funny is he would occasionally talk about that year, and I was like, all right, he's going to ask who we're going to play tonight because we'll bring our switches. And then it never happened. It just
You can't always instigate
no,
yourself,
I didn't
dude.
want you to think I was like training to beat you.
Oh my God. I so can't believe that you went to that extent to try and beat me.
Because he was unbeatable. I just couldn't beat him. It was so frustrating. I just couldn't beat him.
Honestly,
would
he
you
would
have
try
done
and
if
get
you
other
lost?
guys to
Yeah.
what would you have
oh,
done
you
if
ever
you
turn, you
challenged
fucking
him
beat him or
and
not.
you lost?
I think I will raise that game and just pretend I've never played it.
It's my first time playing.
A moment in history if you ever beat me, sir. But other people have played me as
you
well.
in the beginning, but there was a time where
Nah, I'll let you win that, mate.
No, I was.
Otherwise, you wouldn't get into the game
And
if
then
you get winning.
it got to a stage where he was just beating me back to back. It was no chance. I would come this close, and he was just good. He was too good.
You always pick the same character as well, so you always have to be that guy.
Yeah, he's cool though.
But I implore everyone just to give it a shot, you know, or give it a go. I mean, you play now, look at it now, you probably think, oh, this is complete wank, but it's the gameplay. It's the gameplay itself that just hooks you because even though you've lost, and you probably lost by a shit ton, you still want to have another turn. You want to put that extra credit in.
Yep.
And that was me in 1994. I literally went to that place more than the AOF bowling because they didn't have Windjammers. Pepe's did.
Oh, Pepe.
And also you can obviously there's different maps, and each player's finisher suits. I think there's a guy where his power up is where he dashes it on the side and it goes against the wall, and there's a map where you can only score from the corners.
Yep.
So you can pick the maps that.
So the 5 pointers on the corners
that's
instead
it.
of in the middle.
That's it. Yeah. So yeah.
Deadly, mate. Yeah, Windjammers. Give it a go, guys.
Nice.
Gal, number 3, sir.
Yeah. Mine
Windjammers.
So mine was. It's actually quite a boring one, but.
It's fun to follow that.
You'll
Yeah.
find boring, but it's actually a football manager. I haven't.
Which one?
So I've gone for the franchise, if that's okay.
Well, we need a picture for this, so
Oh, football manager. Let's say the first one, championship.
Championship.
cool.
Because that's what.
But the franchise, all in all,
Yeah, and then this is the one I still play to this day. Not that specific one. It gets released every year.
Yeah.
So I'm always playing it. So the love for this kind of stems into my other number 2 and number 1, and it's basically I played it a time where I had a Packard Bell and
that had the Apple sticker on the back of it.
It's actually a sad story because there was a game that I wanted to play so badly back in the day, black and white.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember.
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
It just wouldn't run. It just wouldn't run. I was just heartbroken.
That was like a civilization sort of
Civilization.
thing.
Yeah. Planet
so
thing.
bad. Still this day, I still haven't played it. But anywho, I ended up getting Championship Manager. I can't remember, and I was just addicted to the sort of finding this sort of back then. You basically control. You play as a manager. You control a club that you choose, and then you make transfers and you play your games strategies. Just
You get more money as you go through
That's
it as
it,
well.
yeah.
So as you win, you get more money, you get better sponsors, you get all
That's
this
it.
stuff. Everything that goes with being a football manager, to manage the team, to manage because you do formations, you
training,
do training, you
staff.
do staff, you do.
Well, I think for where it is now.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's gone to a
I
different
remember
level.
back in the day because I remember when this first came out, everyone was playing it, and I put it on, and it was the most boring game ever.
It is. It's literally just text.
Yeah,
You got to love
you got to really
you
love
got to
it.
love
You gotta
football
be, yeah.
because
So
it's not there.
No,
like-
what you used to do is the original one. I remember you used to have the formations come up on the screen. It used to look like the old ITV football
Yeah.
thing. So you'd have
It's almost like
there's
looking at
your-
teletext.
yeah, there's your goalkeeper,
Yeah.
and then you have a kind of picture of what looked like a stereotypical manager in the bottom right corner.
Yeah, and then the players were just dots.
They were little dots, and then you could run the game, and it would run through the game at like twice the speed, and
Yeah.
you see the dots moving around the board.
Yeah, and it'll slow down when they score
Yeah,
or
that's
a
it. And then
key
you get
moment.
the kind of crowd noise, and then,
Yeah.
so and so has scored. That means you have done this. Do you want to keep this player in? Oh, they're injured. Now you've got to do this. And
He's red carded
Yeah.
or he's on a yellow card. Yeah, it's basically football, but as you're running as a manager. But the love for this game was basically, I love the fact that you can unearth players like a potential. So he could be playing in another league, Brazil or whatever, and you bring him over for dirt cheap, and he becomes the next superstar or the next Ronaldinho, next Messi, and to this day, I'm convinced the people play this religiously. Like I've seen documentaries or videos where people actually suit up for finals.
but some use it as a simulator for betting. Like
Oh, do they?
they'll create the teams and stuff. And
Well,
they'll,
I don't know.
yeah.
I don't know how accurate that is, though,
But that's,
but the scout, they actually use legit scouts that are
Yeah.
like these. So the one I'm playing now is set to a level where every player is almost documented by actual scouts. Don't know how extensively, but
They are
so
done
that- yeah.
really in depth.
In
It's
depth.
like Madden is like FIFA.
Yeah.
The stats are pretty
accurate.
Yeah,
accurate to the play. There's always like a hoo-ha. Like,
yeah. Oh, he's better than him. And
like
yeah.
during, I know that players, I know like NFL, they'd be like, you're only like speed.
Yeah,
30,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
like
Yeah.
they know they're faster than
Yeah.
what it is, and there's a big joke in that.
And it's
like,
quite funny because there was a couple of players that I actually bought in the game who
Yeah.
ended up becoming
They're
really,
really good.
really good players. And I remember still this day, my late friend, he said, "Oh, you told me about company," and he became a Man City legend now, and obviously he's retired now. But yeah, it was that element that always attracted me, and it's not so like I wouldn't say it's everyone. It's like what you said. You have to have the passion for football, and that I always in the early stages, I always used to cheat, like because you can
add money to it.
no. So what I did was you add another player,
Right.
and control that team.
Right.
And then there'll be a player that you might not. There might be a loyal player like Steven Gerrard. He won't leave
Yeah.
Liverpool. So you start finding him, and then he'll like, you want to leave, and then I'll say I'll buy him, and then obviously I'm controlling the other manager. I'm just like, yeah, give me a million or a dirt cheap.
Yeah.
That I don't do that now, but that was in the
that's
beginning.
proper FIFA.
Cheated in that way, and then now I do it so that I probably pick I always pick Crystal Palace. You can even go lower leagues. You can go to like Championship, even League Two, and bring up. That's too much for me. I always pick like Crystal Palace and I try to bring them up to Champions League, and then that's me done for the
It's
year.
a great game. It's a single player game though, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like it's more.
yeah.
I'm not playing with mates in a
Previously-
room. Like you could have your mate sitting next to you, but
Yeah.
it's like it's.
But
I
you
think-
you could like previously you could add another manager and play, but it's kind of like
No,
boring.
yeah.
Like, you
I think
could-
the only thing where it becomes a two-player game is where you turn around and you're comparing your team you've created to someone else's team. Oh, I got so-and-so on my team, or I did this last night. It's not one of those games you really discuss in great detail, like or you teach someone else how to play. It's something like you either, like you say, you have this passion for football, but you also have a passion not just for the game, but for the players and the
That's it.
insights.
See,
and
I got a friend who hates a manager due to what he did to him in the Championship. He got Wycombe Wanderers all the way up to like the Premiership, done everything, won the double. They sacked him.
oh my
They
god,
hired Martin O'Neill, and he's never forgiven him. And he's hated his manager ever since. And it's kind of like you kind of just get your enjoyment of the game. It's like you take your allegiances and you see your players that because it works in this game, and then you can take that your knowledge of this game to another game,
That's it, yeah.
and you can start picking players from other leagues that you don't really.
It's gone so bad. Like one of my the addiction is to find the best player, and obviously, and there's one of my favorite mini games in Final Fantasy X is they have this thing called Blitzball, and in that game you do a league, and you have to find players in the game, like basically scout them and bring them in. I played that I must have put 30 hours into that, and it's not
just a side mission.
Just a side mission.
And if there's another episode for you, top 5 mini games, but yeah, that's
side missions.
And that was I literally played it to death, that mini game, and something that stemmed from my passion of Championship Manager, and it's something even now I still love that element.
No, I used to play the early manager games. I never really got into Championship Manager because I like to do both on.
I think there was two. Was it Championship Manager
and PGA Manager?
Yeah, something. And there was, and then one died out and it became Football Manager.
PFA Manager.
PGA's golf in it. Yeah. It's like I believe it was that.
Yeah.
But they're both good. But I think Championship Managers
had a bit of an edge.
It's edged them.
Yeah, it's good. It's still good.
It's good. But it's done so well. It's for the game that you want it to be. It's perfect in the sense of
I think now you can do interviews and
it's a weird game.
Yeah, depend on what you say.
You got to drink the Kool-Aid.
Yeah,
but it is a weird game.
It's not for everyone.
It's not. Yeah, but it's not a game that you can sit down there with a gamepad and just 5-minute chill. It's like you're in it for the long haul. You've got to do at least a couple of games before you get out.
That's it. Yeah.
But then on the flip side,
you could get annoyed.
A coach, an American football coach manager game would be, or you'd be like, oh. Right, execute this play. You'd be a bit more because it's your sport.
And it can be frustrating because the team you manage don't have enough money. The players want more money. The other team want no money. It's aggro, but it's worth it.
It's a commitment. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah,
I knew it was going to go on the list. I know you love that game. I thought it was going to be quite high, to be honest.
I played it.
I was about to say when you bought your Switch, I was like, "Oh, you playing Mario Odyssey? You playing Mario Kart? No, Football Manager, mate.
D3. When I was that's what I played. Hours on D3.
I'm telling you, even if you bought a Steam Deck, the first thing you would buy is Football Manager.
Every year, there's either Xbox or PlayStation. Football Manager's downloaded.
Yeah,
every year. That's the only one. It's a bit weird because I get annoyed when people buy FIFA and COD, but I do.
Football Manager.
Yeah, it's annoying, but yeah, it's passion.
Nice pick, mate. Let's go to the number 2s.
Number 2.
Over to Mario for your number 2, then, sir.
So we've mentioned this before. I think it was the movie games episode. However, this isn't the movie game. This is the one that led the mechanic to the movie game.
Okay.
And the movie game was Rocky Balboa.
Ah.
This is Fight Night Round 3.
Nice.
So we've gone for another boxing game. And this was the first game that I ever played on the Xbox when it first came out.
Was this on the original Xbox?
This was on the original Xbox. It came out on the 360, but this is the one that I played was on the original Xbox. And it's a boxing game like no other. So we had Fight Night Round, not Fight Night. What was the one you said earlier? It was
Punch Out.
Super Punch Out. It was a button basher. This one was more strategic. So you actually had the ability to block. You had to block high, block low, block left, block right. You had to swing the analog sticks, so you could do your hooks, you could do your jabs by pushing forwards and backwards and left and right.
Did you have to?
Yeah. So so you had training sessions in between, kind of like your kind of games to learn how to punch. So you had bag punches and stuff like that. But during the game, in between rounds, if you'd taken a beating, you could actually heal yourself a little bit. And you had the cold compress, you had the gel, you had the ice.
Get up, Brock!
It really was like that as well.
And the guys, original Xbox, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Fight Night Round 3. It was really good. Like, such a great game. Came out on the PlayStation 2, I think.
Yeah, because I remember Fight Night, one of them was, I think it was released with a package.
Yeah.
And it was, I think it must have been PlayStation 2. I remember playing it. I was like, oh my God. Like,
it's
the
such
cuts.
It was
just like, you got like...
Yeah,
like,
you had they put on like, they did exactly like they do on the game, in real life. They put on like the cold compress to protect on the swelling. They put on the Vaseline to kind of get it down.
But I felt like the combat was jarring for me. I just couldn't... Like, I don't know, for some reason I just couldn't get the controls. I think each analog...
It's PlayStation, mate.
Each hand controlled...
Snap!
on the Duke, the biggest controller ever.
Yes!
It was the easiest to use.
One of the best controllers.
It is one of the best controllers.
Yeah.
But it was like, I thought it was smooth. Like the left, the rights, the hooks, the jabs, the uppercut. Such a natural movement. It was just getting your head around how you performed them, because your thumbs naturally just want to do one thing over another.
Yeah, because you got to like... I think you can to block with one hand and the other hand to jab.
Yeah, it was up. You had to push up to block, I think it was, or down to block, one or the other.
Maybe I'm just a crap boxer, I don't know.
I didn't want to comment.
I can have him.
I'll take him. I'll jam your wind. It's but no, it was you're able to kind of do all the moves and all the combos and stuff, so you could jab and hook and stuff like that. It was such a great mechanic for a fight game, and it was such a great game, and you could unlock kind of boxers through history. So you could have Muhammad Ali, you could have Cassius.
Wasn't he on the cover or something? I can't remember.
He was, yeah. You had a few different covers. This was the thing. So I can't remember who the boxer is. There's a boxer that you create as well, and he had like the gown up and stuff.
Right.
And you had all them through time. Every famous boxer going really, and then of course, because it's Fight Night Round 3, you had Rocky in there as well as a random player that you could just kind of gain through the game. I think if you completed it and won the entire title, World Boxing Heavyweight.
So he's not a starter. So
he's not a
starter.
starter.
No, he's unlockable.
I love when games do that.
That was when games used to do that. There was no micro.
The meaning to beat the game, isn't it?
Not to beat
or win it with a certain character.
That's it. Yeah, you could do it, or you do things a certain way, and you get certain characters. And this was one of those games. You get to the end of it, and you get Rocky.
It's something meaningful, and it makes you want to play the campaign mode or whatever.
Of course, when Street Fighter 2, to get Akuma, you had to kind of go through the game, and then at a certain point, you had to go a perfect round, and then he would come in, and then you'd have to defeat him both rounds. Then you go back and have to complete your round against that player. And then you'd get him as a playable character. You don't get that anymore.
You can just say smoke, wasn't it?
You can just pay for it now.
During the portal, you had to do the Tootsie or Whoopsie, and then down and start, and then bang. And if you beat him, you got him as a character.
And before that, it was Urkans, I think it was, or Lizard or something. And it was a erroneous character. It was like a green reptile, I think he became later on.
Yeah, what, in the pit?
Yeah, and you had
and
you had to get him, you had to uppercut and do so, and you don't get that anymore in any games. But Fight Night was just like the boxing game. It was the 2-player game where like you both sat next to each other, and because it was profile against profile as well, as opposed to kind of rotated around, it meant that you could actually have not a split screen, and you can move back from your play, you can move around the ring a little bit, but you didn't really go anywhere. And it was quite cool to have the two people in the ring. I'm going to get you, I'm going to lay you out, and all that sort of stuff. And the mechanic to get back up as well.
The knockouts were spectacular.
I'm going to knock you out. Mama said,
knock you out. But then in order to get back up, you had to like wiggle the thumbsticks, and then the second time you have to wiggle both thumbsticks, or you'd have to roll them in a circle. It was a different thing depending on what you were knocked out on. So if it was a body shot or a head shot, it was such a great game. Such a good fighting game.
Do you know, I was thinking there's a boxing game that uses the sticks to punch, and now
so
I can sleep at night. Thank you.
Because we mentioned it in the movie games one, because Rocky was built from that mechanic, and Rocky was such a great game. But Fight Night Round 3 was what led into Rocky having those mechanics.
So the Rocky game was the storyline of Rocky.
And then you could, so it starts off the storyline of Rocky. So you start with Rocky 1, and then the characters in that, and then you fight all the characters through each of the Rocky series, but you unlock like side characters and extra characters and people that you've fought in the Rocky franchise. And this Fight Night Round 3 is just like, that's where it came from. That's where that mechanic came from fighting. Okay. And then they, like I say, they stuck Rocky in there as well.
Nice.
But like I said, you could actually have characters who were boxers through time, like all the all-time greats, Smoking Joe Frazier and all this sort of stuff. You'd have them all in the game. Nice. It's such a good game.
It's coming to me. I'm going to be like that. I'm going to be like that.
You want to see that, huh, do you? What about my burn, Mick?
Excellent pick, Mario. Let's go to Chris's number 2.
Number 2. So this was a game that was on pre-order, and it was counting down the days until it came out. And I believe it's the greatest of the sports entertainment games. And this is No Mercy on the N64.
We're good.
Okay.
So, yeah, for me, this one is like...
it's highly rated, I don't know.
I played it a lot, but my mate Phil, he
fucking loves this.
So this is why it stayed around, because of Phil. He campaigned it. It was a great game to keep around playing. It was one of those games we played for ages, but it was always Phil's baby. But
absolutely.
The amount of fun we played with it. I started to make characters, and then I realised that they were shit. And then like my mate Phil, he literally down to like the wristbands, to the elbow pads, to the tape, and it was like he had like 30 odd characters, but he made it up to like 90. He had WCW, NWO.
Makes a little memory card that slide at the back.
Yeah, but the thing was, you'd just be like, bring your No Mercy. You know, like everybody's got, I've got No Mercy, but bring your
bring
one,
the memory
you
card
know.
with all on. All the characters saved
On your one, and it was just.
He still creates characters now.
To
Like,
this day.
he's got CM Punk on there.
I know,
for
to this
crying out
day, he
loud.
still updates it to this day, and it's like.
No way.
Yeah, but.
On the N64,
I mean,
he's still
they look
He
blocky.
puts updated people
They
on
look
there.
blocky now, but back then it was.
It was the thing.
It was brilliant. Like the problem that I loved Warzone and I loved SmackDown and stuff, but like for me, it was a bit too fast. This had
Warzone was slow though.
no, but like the SmackDowns, like when you were doing a ladder, when you're doing a ladder match,
It felt like
yeah,
arcadey.
like the selling I found on the No Mercy was a bit, you know, and you had ladder matches, and like when you're climbing up a ladder and you get to the
it's
top,
so
it's like,
slow.
but you know, but that's what you.
But yeah.
You do when you're like, just get up the fucking ladder, you know, like
No, jump.
But we had hours and years of fun playing this game, and like there's certain tactics when you're doing a fatal four where you like one person would just be draining power, just you know, doing your special,
Constantly tapping to
taunting.
get up.
No matter what you could do, like the guy could never get any stamina. Oh, and the amount of rages you had because you were like, you're just like draining him like Shang Tsung. You're like, and just the rage of just, that's so fucking cheap. You're cheap. Yeah, it's just the amount of fun we had. It's just
The screw jobs.
The screw jobs. That is it. You know, like you look at it, you go, should we get him?
Yeah, right.
Like that.
Yeah, I wonder who else does that.
But then
That's ingrained in my
but
blood.
you do that,
man.
but at the same time, but then you can. What? We were screwing him.
Yeah, what happened?
Yeah.
We were working together.
But that was the thing with wrestling. It was kind of like it was part of the game. It was part of
Always.
the
So like
the
the
show.
screw job would have been
the
like
screw
talked
job.
about the day before, and you think it's that you're on,
But
but there's a screw job before you even know.
you love a screw job, and you invest in the storyline. And I mean, I spent hours doing the career mode, and like
I love the screw.
the career mode was great. You had like the only thing it didn't have was like actual voice. But
I'm talking about another one, but I never played No Mercy, but it was one of those ones where, like, as Ant would say, "Oh, you know, I wish I had that on the PlayStation."
It was, you know, with like certain games, like
That's a pretty good impression.
all other games, you kind of got to do down, forward, like and an A B. Like the way that No Mercy had it, it was like a strong grapple and like a little roll of the. It was like. It was like a toddler could do it. To do your special move, it was like, get your special up. It would say special. You grab them, and literally you just flick the stick, isn't it? Just flick it.
That's it.
And then it would do your special, and they do it properly. It does the selling. You started to have the people's elbow. And you
The
had
diamond
like,
cutter.
you taking them out the back, and you're getting hardcore matches
Yeah.
24/7. My mate Phil we got like Tesco two W championship belts.
No way.
One of them was used to just smash up to fuck up to make it into a hardcore title, and then it became like you started playing with that, and then it became like
Could you build your own entrance and Titantrons in No Mercy?
yeah, but like I believe I'm not. Do you know what? I'm not sure if it did. Phil would have done it.
Yeah.
You know.
I think it might have been later on.
He's the reason why this game is so good for like, because we didn't just get No Mercy, we got like super fan, like No Mercy. Anybody, you're like, who's that fucking guy on Heat? And it's like, you've got him there. It just, yeah, you could be anybody you wanted to be, past and present, and pretty much made the moves. He knew them all. It was
He's literally keeping this game alive to this day,
to this
isn't
day,
he?
he's
That's
like,
amazing.
he still plays his N64, and it's like, and it's so easy to play, but it's so slow and laggy now. It's like,
Must be
but-
outdated as well, all blocky and
yeah,
Oh yeah, totally.
yeah. But I remember looking at the the No Mercy box art in the back, and I was like, oh my god, this looks so wicked. I wish,
But when you like, you're weird, and like you got Kane, and he does his like fire bombs, and like Rikishi and Tuchel doing their dancing. Yeah, it was just hours of fun. Just like, literally. Oh.
I can't remember which one, but there was one where like, if you're the one-player one. Like you have the option to skip the
intros.
I would never skip any intros.
You keep yours on, but you skip everyone else's.
Amazing.
Now, you talking about, let's go screw this guy. Him and his mates always, if it was me, it's like, get the white guy. Let's get him out first.
To the point where he stopped playing with us. He did.
We used to just eye rake him, chuck him out of the ring, go, stamina, and then like just pile drive,
and he will pick.
He'd still lose.
You know, I think it goes to a rate. The later ones it has like 80, and then all the super like, mega players like John Cena all like 90. So he will always pick someone 80, and it will be like him versus all the other guys are like Triple H, Undertaker, Kane, and he's just getting hammered away. He's like, what's
Coming
the point?
down as the
Why
British
am I
Bulldog.
playing this game?
I literally played as a guy from NXT. And they were like, oh, get this guy. So one tombstones me, the other one F5s me, the other one does the attitude adjustment.
Ready, and he's just like,
never again, mate. So yeah. But no, good pick, mate. Anything else on No Mercy?
No, like literally, it spawned from like you had, was it WCW?
That's right.
Was it?
That's the
Hardcore
other one he
Havoc?
likes, isn't it? Revenge.
Yeah, Revenge was the second one. I think it was Hardcore Havoc or something. And then you were like, you had WrestleMania 2000, but you knew that those two games were flawless. When you were like, I didn't like WCW as much, but I liked playing the game. I felt really dirty, kind of wanted to play these WCW characters. Like back then, I like WCW now. Like I could watch it.
Sure.
When like
but
the
back then you were like,
it was just cheap and it was dirty. And it was like
you felt dirty playing it.
Yeah, bravo.
Nice.
So it just became a great. What's the game engine? And it worked
definitely.
for the console and the time. You know, like I don't think you could have that style of slow like now. It just wouldn't hold up.
Can you imagine it nowadays? No, it wouldn't. No. Nice pick, mate. My number 2, short but sweet, has been clashed with Gal. Mine is Wii Sports. Very quickly, just going to go to why it's that. This was the one that would bring the family together. As you can see from behind me, I'm a board gamer as well as everyone else around this table loves their board games. But we didn't really have these as much back then, did we, when the Wii was out? So if you had family over, if you were around for Christmas and whatnot, everyone and their mothers would play it. It was easy to play, easy to do. Like you said, just a flick of the remote, you would do this, do that. Even my grandparents at the time would give this a go. It was the one that would just bring families together. And like nowadays, I would be like, oh, you're bored? Right, let's get a game out and play a board game. But then Wii Sports was that gap filler at the time, wasn't it? You didn't mention it much though, but I didn't mind the boxing game in this because you had to connect. You had to connect the nunchuck.
Yes,
and do that stuff, and you can block up and whatnot as well.
See, the go-to for me was the tennis and the bowling.
I found you said the baseball was hit and miss. I found the boxing very hit and miss.
The boxing as well was dangerous because I remember you stood side by side, but I remember if you got drunk enough, you'd stand face off with the other person and you start trying to actually box and you'd be joking, but by the end of the night, you're actually hitting each other. Not hard, but hitting each other enough to go, oh, that's not nice. Stop.
It's like, I never really played sports games that much at the time, but that was the sort of one that got me to play it with family, with friends, whatnot. But also, you can't deny Wii Sports was the one that sort of made it possible for other games to do stuff. I mean, not sports games per se, but your Just Dances and Connect Sports, all that sort of stuff, you know. I mean, Wii Sports still goes today because Switch has it as well.
Yeah.
It's still, it's still quite a popular thing. And I just love the fact that, my daughter still loves Just Dance now because that's all with a hand remote now and everything. But Connect Sports was brilliant when you can do it on the camera and you put your hand out and you can change your bats and everything. None of that's possible without Wii Sports. You have to, take that into consideration.
Join the nunchucks and make it into the gun.
That's right. Yeah, like you do your archery in Sports 2, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Was there? Yeah, well, I was going to say, wasn't there another? Was there like an add-on or something like?
Yeah,
like
there's 2.
4
There's 2,
games.
wasn't there?
Wasn't there another load of games?
There was a second set, yeah.
And that had darts on it as well and everything. Yeah.
Darts.
Or am I thinking of Switch? There's one called Resort. I don't know if that's for the Wii.
Oh, no, that was
Sports
the Wii
Resort.
Sports Resort. That was like volleyball and stuff
That's
like
it,
that.
yeah.
That was on the Wii as well.
Yeah.
Was that on the? What was the one that came after the Wii?
I think there's one
Switch.
recent one on the Switch.
No, it was after there was the Wii U.
Oh.
Yes. Yeah.
It came out on the Wii U.
There's nothing. I don't think the original
Forgotten
one was the most popular. I know, and it was just free. It was just you buy the console, you get that.
Yeah.
It wasn't like extra
One of the
price.
best bundle covers ever.
Yeah.
Because it would never have picked up. Like that was there because you got it, and that's how they. Same with the PlayStation. You got the Blu-ray. They just saturated the market.
Good. So
It was great.
But yeah, I'm not going to go too much into it because obviously you did it on your turn. So short and sweet, Wii Sports is my number 2. Over to your number 2, sir.
my number 2 is another electrifying
Sports entertainment. All right.
I've got. I'm gonna say the whole SmackDown series, but I've gone with WWE. Here Comes the Pain.
Nice. With Brock Lesnar on the
That's
front.
Yeah, I think it was a 2003.
Yes, it was. Because that came out the same day as Vice City.
Did it?
It did.
I just remember this. All my boys would be around my house before or after school or in the weekends, just hours and hours just poured into this game, and I can't remember. I think we always played, even when we played, I think it was the Battle Royale. So one we get knocked out.
Yeah.
Or was it
Lumberjacks where you can wait outside.
That's it, yeah. And then you can just pull their legs. But it
And they
was
turn around and go,
but it's like what you touched on. Like it was just an ultimate
Memories.
like multiplayer game. Like I think you can have this one was I've chosen this. I think you can have up to 6 or 8 players.
Yes.
I think.
Did you have
When the
elimination
PS2 had the
chamber in this
multi-tab.
one?
That's it.
Wow.
Was there elimination chamber in this one?
Elimination Chamber, yeah.
Yeah.
But it was I can literally talk like the screw jobs were like plan. If you like me and you just say we're gonna get Ant, but there'll be another screw job between you and him. No, we're not getting that. We're getting me. So it was mind games. It was total fun, man. I just like I think even to the point where like and again, I think there was story mode in that. I think what it did was it played on what happened that year, and I think it did have character selection, but you can also select your characters. But what I always did was create my character. I loved putting moves in there. And Ant knows this. I always have to have the double arm DDT. Like I have to have the normal DDT, the mankind power drive where he has to you know there's you got the
lifts it up.
there he pulls the leggings and go. You have to have that and some of the high flyers. I loved it. It's just like your friend.
Oh yeah, Phil, we played this game a lot. The only reason I didn't put this is that I wasn't as good. Like No Mercy, I was good at that game. This one, I was just fodder. I was literally a jobber, just there to get seen off, maybe screw jobs. But it was just like I just loved the fact is that this game you remembered. You know, you go, should we get him? And if you backstab and you go, should we get him? You go, no, you fucked me over last time. You know? You kind of remember those ones and you bring your own like storyline into it and you pretend like you, and then you backstab it.
Wasn't this one of the first ones you can actually go backstage and beat him up and stuff?
Like, you throw him through.
I think why SmackDown was so good is it literally. I'm not sure if this one. I think you can do 3D through the table. You can get.
No, you could do that in the other ones, the PS ones. Yeah,
but I just feel like the SmackDown franchise one just allowed you to do all those things, like get on the table. I think you could do finishes on the announcing tables, get weapons under there.
Yeah.
Obviously, I am talking on the whole of like
The
franchise.
Yeah.
But whereas I've come from Attitude Era, Warzone.
They
were just like
SmackDown.
stale, and I think Warzone ones where to do the finisher, it was like actual combos.
But I loved it. Climbing the cage, the steel metal
I
cage.
still remember. This is so freaky, right? I don't know if it's like legit or not because I was struggling to play Attitude, right? And
Attitude I didn't get on with.
not
Warzone
Attitude, sorry,
I found
Warzone.
easier.
And I was like, I couldn't figure out. And so what I kept doing was one of the fighters, I think it's Farouk, and I kept running around. I literally kept running around and just punching him and doing stuff. And somehow I won. And if you remember, like, there's a cutscene before and after. And then he literally says, all you did is went around and just like, you just kept running around. I was like, what? Like, I don't know if that was his actual tag.
Or if he actually was mocking your style of wrestling.
I was like, what? He can't have read how I played. Till this day, I swear that I was like freaked out by that. But I didn't enjoy Warzone as much, but I feel like SmackDown just changed the
but it's genre. You kind of you love wrestling, so you just end up going, you just end up loving the games. You bring them out, and it just, we all loved wrestling. So like, even listening to the commentary, it wasn't. We didn't really listen to that commentary. We always added our own.
Yeah. So, oh my god!
And you're like, you knew exactly what needed to be said because you've watched it for
and I think
hours.
It will get to a point where they're all dazed, and you just wait for a minute before you do the finisher. Like,
do the little taunt.
Yeah. And then you do the pedigree. Just quick fire. What was your favourite finisher? Like,
Stunner. I've always liked Austin because Attitude Era, The Rock and Austin.
Yeah.
But I do love
stuff for me.
Stunner, and obviously I do prefer Undertaker's Tombstone.
Yeah, for me it was Pedigree, Stunner, and I think for some reason I always had the Walls of Jericho.
Last Ride was always a banging.
What about you, Adam?
Of all time? Or just in the game?
In the game, or...
In the game?
Yeah.
In that game, Here Comes the Pain was probably the F5, because what they did was when you did it, the SmackDown logo would come across the screen and it would 360 round it. So when you lifted him and you moved him over, it follows the body and it comes down. So in that game, the F5 definitely.
He was so.
What about you, Mario?
I didn't play it.
Oh, you don't?
No.
You'd be awfully quiet. Did you know that?
Sorry.
The last WWE game I played, WWE was still called WWF. And it would have been on the Super Nintendo.
With Doink the Clown.
So I think it was even pre-Doink the Clown.
Not the one where you hit him with a tombstone and actually...
it'd be like Rumble or something.
Rumble.
Yeah, I think it would have been
was
Royal
it Macho
Rumble,
Man?
actually, or SummerSlam, but it was one of those kind of
one that's
games.
got Razor
Yeah.
on the front.
In fact, that would have been
guy.
the last ones that I would have played would have been on that. So yeah, I haven't played a wrestling game for a very long time.
No, but it kind of like, I never bought the wrestling. I bought No Mercy, but the SmackDowns and everything else was always Phil. So it was always in the group.
So you don't need to have, but
I didn't need to have it because.
Have you ever played the story mode then at all?
I did up until a point, but then I just never stopped because there isn't anything after a certain year.
Oh man, I used to love the story modes in that, man. It was so good. Yeah, there's
Nice pick, mate.
just a quick pause as well. I can't remember again. The reversals were super cool as well. Like
I think this was the first one that you could actually start doing reversals now.
Yeah, that's it. And then you could do a reversal on a reversal.
Next level. Start counting on a counter. You're like,
so good, so good.
Good pick, mate.
Yeah,
nice.
Let's bring it home with the number ones.
It's number one.
Mario.
Okay, I've got a split decision here. They're both the same style of game. They're both the same sport. So I need to choose one of them because they're both amazing games. I am going to go with Skate 2.
Did you just do over
You took a Tony Hawk out, didn't you?
I took Tony Hawk out. Yeah, Tony Hawk 2 out. Now,
are you going to regret that now?
I'm probably going to regret it massively. Okay, I'm going to justify why I've taken Tony Hawk's out. And Tony Hawk should have probably been in my list, but there were so many other lists.
Combo master.
So, Skate 2. Skate 2 has more skating heroes and legends in it.
What consoles is this for?
So this is for the Xbox 360.
Okay.
So it has so many kind of skating legends in it and heroes of the time. And you could go in and you could meet them and you could do their tricks and learn their tricks and all that sort of stuff. So Skate 2 for the uninitiated is a skateboarding game. And very much in the vein of Fight Night, your feet were the thumbsticks.
No way.
So in order for you to ollie, you would flick the thumbstick up and down and your feet would move and you'd do the motions. If you did a kickflip, it was... So I wanted to learn all these moves and I came late to skateboarding. I got taught how to drop in on a ramp by an 8-year-old and I was 22 at the time. So I was really late to that kind of game. Yeah, exactly that. And so when it came to it, this game was the way that I could do all the tricks that I really wanted to learn, but a lot easier than actually standing there in my car park or on the ground trying to learn them on a skateboard. I tried, but I was just not good enough for that. So what you're able to do is the motions that they said your feet should move in, you could do that with the thumbsticks. So you'd actually make realistic movements with the thumbsticks for your feet, and you'd do like kick flips, pop shove-its. You could do, there was loads of different tricks. Like there was something called a Christ air.
Christ air, yeah.
Yeah, and it was like you'd go up, you'd kick the board out from under your feet, and then you just hold the board with your arms out in a kind of cross shape, and then land it after that. There was back flips, there was front flips, there was all sorts of stuff.
And this is all with just 2 analog sticks?
2 analog sticks. That was what you used. You could use the buttons, but they did bugger all.
I'm trying to think how Tony Hawk's was then.
No, but that's why I
Hawk's,
didn't get on with it, because I was Tony Hawk's and I went to this and it was like, fuck me, I've got to skate.
So
I've actually got to learn
I've got to learn how to skate.
So Tony Hawk's was point and shoot, more or less. So if you wanted to go down a ramp, you pressed down a ramp, and I think with Tony Hawk's, now I've got to remember this, you pressed a button.
You hold X and you just kind of crouch and you super speed.
And you speed, and you can get pumping going with Tony Hawk's. Right. So if you're on a ramp, you'd push the button at a certain point and it'd push you down. With skate, it was exactly the same as you would do on a skateboard. You had to use your feet, push down, and X was your scoot, so you'd scoot yourself along.
Like GTA, like
you push it 3 times. That was the maximum number to get up to speed. But if you're on a ramp, you do that a couple of times to drop in, and then you could use your feet and the board itself to pump yourself up like you would normally. So on a skate,
following that.
Actually, would like it's almost like a simulator
so
with your thumbsticks.
How would you do a grind?
So what you'd do is you'd come up to the grind area and you'd rotate the board with the thumbsticks.
No way.
Yeah, into position to get the grind on. And because you could do nose grinds and tail grinds, you could hold down. So you could do something where you kind of do manuals.
If you do up and down, you must do that.
Yeah. It lifts the front of the board up and the back. Okay. Yeah. But with the analog thumbsticks, because you can do it just a little bit, you can get something called a manual. So the board lifts up and you move along just a little bit as it's going. So the nose is in the air. And if you were just like any other person, if you were a little bit heavy with that, it would grind out.
It was hard.
You had to get the manual just right, but you could do nose manuals. So you could do an ollie into a manual nose, and you could go along. And if you're doing grinds, depending on how you landed the board, with a board slide, 50-50 grind, you could do like kind of crazy stuff where you'd have the board off center and all. It was so good.
Was it more realistic?
It was FIFA for it was EA for skateboarding. Whereas in Tony Hawk you could grind for a year, forever,
because you can actually plan out the whole route where you want to go.
This one, it was like there was a balance and there was.
But what was different to this from Tony Hawk's is here's your level. Now you're doing it. This was open world. So you could skate through the map to your different zones, and what you had was different tasks as well. So not only did you have to perform tricks, you had to meet someone and perform tricks, but you also had you'd meet a pro skater, and in order for you to learn their moves or whatever, you'd have a game called Pony, or it wasn't called Pony, it was Skate.
Horse.
It was literally called Skate.
Horse, isn't it?
Yeah, it's basically horse. Yeah. So basically they would do a trick, and you'd have to match their trick or outdo them.
Right.
And then if you failed, you got an S. So your idea was you need to beat them. They had to spell the word skate by losing, and then you'd beat them.
Right, okay.
So every time they lost...
And then you learned their special move, and then you add it to your...
That's it. And then, it would come up with the how-to. So when you used to play Mortal Kombat, if you paused it, you could go into the moves, and you could see what you had to do. Yeah. So this would do the same. You could pause it, and you could go into your directory of moves, and it would open up different moves. So you'd look at it and go, there's no way my thumbs are going to move in that direction, but for the next 3 weeks, I'm going to try. And you could learn so many different moves and so many different styles and so many different things.
That does sound awesome, but
so Skate 2 took me a while to get the hang of, but it was such a good game after that. And you'd have different areas. So you have a college campus, and when you got onto the college campus, you'd kind of grind the rails. And one of them was you need to grind the college stairs, but there's now police. So the police would chase you down and knock you off the board, and you'd have to restart. So you'd be chased along by the police to do this. Then you'd also have...
sounds like Road Rash.
It is. But there's other bits so you'd meet a photographer. So the photographer would go, he'd be doing a photo session. So you'd turn up and he'd go, give me your best moves. So you'd have to link all your moves together, and you'd have a minimum score that you had to hit in order to win that kind of achievement. And you'd have multiple kind of things you had to do. So you had to do... the best tricks on the ramp, or you had to ollie in or land it from the highest point on the map. There were things you'd kind of ride past and wouldn't think anything of it, but then if you went over, it would be like a drain gully, and that would then turn into a ramp and stuff like that. It was so good. Rob Dyrdek was one of the characters as well, with Big as well, so it was Big and
Was
Rob.
Tony Hawk's in it?
Tony Hawk's was not in it because Tony Hawk's at this time had retired from skating.
Oh, okay.
But Tony Hawk's also had his own franchise. So I think we're on Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4.
Did they have both of them? I can't remember if they had characters from...
I think they had a couple of characters from both.
From both. But mainly if you were on that one.
Yeah, it was one or t'other. But yeah, and then they brought out Skate 3 a couple of years later, and Skate 3
had the peripheral, didn't it?
That was a bit
was,
pony,
yeah,
wasn't
it
it?
was
That,
really
that
shit.
got panned.
Was it?
Yeah,
that got really
awful.
bad reviews to the point where those ones were solid, and then it was...
Yeah.
I think it was it Tony Hawk's 4 style?
Yeah.
You know, like, it had a flawless, and then it was like, well, this is wank. You
Yeah,
know,
I mean,
it's-
Skate 2, for the mechanics in it and the way you played the game, I'm going to put that above Tony Hawk's. Tony Hawk's is a linear game. It's still an amazing game. Tony Hawk's had a way better soundtrack.
Yeah, 100%.
But this game had much more to it, much more depth, much more into it.
Basically, more realistic.
More realistic. And also, so Skate 3, like I say, when it came out, whatever happened to the mechanics, the thumbsticks, just completely gone. Skate 2 had all the mechanics in there, all the thumbsticks, all the moves, all the characters, grinds, unlimited kind of levels of play. You could learn different things. You could maneuver different things. You could chain all your tricks together like you could in Tony Hawk's, but they were more realistic. So you could kick the ball out, catch it, throw it. Yeah.
There's a way when Tony Hawk you can just, when you get to like a flat area, you can still continue. My brother's doing a million, like some ridiculous numbers.
Now, there was a thing in this that was better than anything that Tony Hawk's had. And it was you basically kill yourself. It was a bone breaking.
Hell.
Oh,
A bone
That's
breaking
better.
It was a bone breaking level. So what you could do is you go off of a certain thing, and depending on how you landed and how many bones you broke, depended on how much score you got. So you'd have like
Jesus.
stuff. So you'd actually go up and you'd purposefully, and there'd be stuff like you'd be off a multi-story car park.
Sounds like something Goku will learn.
Heading down towards the benches, and you'd ollie off the top there, get your speed up, ollie off the top, and then as you came down, you would kind of hit the ground, and you could see like as you hit the ground, if you hit it on your head, then your head would kind of go to an X-ray skull thing, and you'd hear the bones crunch as you hit the ground.
Oh, yeah.
And then as you roll over, like you'd see like different bones break, and it'd tell you how many bones you've broken and what your score was.
That's how you get the score.
And that was how you got the score.
That is how.
And it was the crunches and stuff like that. So even if you were shit at the game, it
You
was
could play
something
that.
you could do quite happily. You'd scoot along with your 3 scoots, jump off the car park, hit the deck, and you'd just hear the bones crunching and all this sort of stuff. But you had to do it a certain way because there are ways that you could jump off
Can you
these
do a
things.
trick before you do?
Yeah. Yeah,
Nice.
and sometimes if you didn't get the timing quite right, you'd land it, so you would have failed that level.
like the look of like breaking
Yeah.
your ankle, like
Yeah.
the animate. It kind of you're like
Yeah.
you just
That's
fucked
still
yourself.
clever to
It's
do
really
that.
good, and you'd have ones where you'd roll. So as you hit the deck, you keep rolling, and you'd hear the crunches and roll and crunch and roll and crunch and roll, and you'd see your character slowly turning into a flesh-covered skeleton as they're kind of rolling along, and you're hearing the crunches and the bones going. It's such a great game, and that's what it had over Tony Hawk's. Was like,
And that's
there
what
was-
made it in the number one.
made it the number one. I love Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. Pro Skater 2 was the one that I played all the time. Like when that first came out, every move, every kind of special, 100%ed that game, and just kept playing it over and over again. But Skate was the one that takes skateboarding games to the next level, in my opinion. Like it's realistic, it's super, and that kind of the flesh dummy thing where you could break yourself, fantastic. The photography thing where you could take up
That was
photography.
good.
And you could take, you yourself would actually be able to take pictures as well within the maps, and you'd had to catch certain things. There was so much built into that game.
The way
so
it
many
looked
tasks.
was awesome.
Yeah.
That's what it had over Tony Hawk's.
Yeah.
It had pretty like the whole area,
Yeah.
like the skater heaven, like just how
The open
well
world,
it looked.
yeah. And you could fast travel as well. Like you could fast travel, and you had shops you could go to, so you could change your appearance, you could change your boards, you could change,
Customise.
and the boards were existing boards as well. So from manufacturers that you knew, and there were vintage boards in there as well. They had a couple of Fishtail Santa Cruzes and Pound Peralta stuff. It was all old school as well as new school kind of skateboarding stuff, and it was all stuff that I knew and was really into. And it was such a great kind of open world skateboarding game. There was nothing like it that I was aware of.
Not like that. And I mean, I took Tony Hawk's 2. Like, it was going to be my number 2, and I took it out because I was like, I know for a fact it's going to be on yours, and I can talk to death about it. It was like, it should. I feel bad, like it's not on this list, like it. But
Skate 2 for me pips it. I
had all the gear, no idea. With like, I had a board, I had like everything, and it was like, I couldn't do it.
Yep.
And Tony Hawk's made me think I could do it. So with me not being able to skate and then not being able to play the game properly, it was just like, oh god. But I loved watching someone play it properly. Yeah. That was a game I was quite happily sit there and watch my mate do it properly, because you could just skate around, do the little tricks.
Because I think it was one of the first games where you could actually do sequences. So I know Forza had done sequences before where you could record your races and stuff, and then you could share them. Skate, you could do the same thing. So you could do tricks, and you could record the tricks in the game, and you could share them with the EA community. So I think it was an EA game, so I think you could share them out with the community. Like you could actually do little recordings and send them out. And that was on the 360, so like pre-Twitch and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, ahead of its time.
Nice. So good.
Nice. Anything else on it?
No. My number 1, Skate 2.
Not regretting that Tony Hawk 2's on it.
I am, and I'm not.
regretted that.
I think Chris
I regretted that massively.
But I think out of the 2 skateboarding games, I think Skate 2 deserves it just for the sheer quantity of stuff that you can do.
I took it out for Dead Ball Zone because I knew it was like, I thought it was going to be here, and I thought it would be Clash to Hell, that one, and it's kind of like, it kind of should be on there, if you know what I mean. It's like, such a great game. Yeah,
I've got it written down here, like Tony Hawk's, and then underneath it I've got Skate 2, and I'm like, what do I do?
Yeah, because I remember, I don't know what game it was or what episode it was, but you talked about it to death.
Yes.
And I was like, right, I know it's gonna be on there. It's like, so yeah.
Speaking of that, Chris, what's your number 1, mate?
My number 1 is my number 1 franchise of all time, and it's like FIFA. So I played this from 93.
Disappointed.
No, 93 up until like
industry.
All the way up until 2023,
which stopped being FIFA.
Is there one specifically that stands out?
Well, there's a block between 13 to 18, but FIFA 17 with Marco Reus on the
That's
front.
the picture we need.
Yeah, FIFA 17. But this one's like where I was saying I had NBA Jam. I had FIFA because that was my NBA. Like, all
you
of
were
my
the
mates
FIFA guy, and your mate was the
round,
NBA guy.
You come round, you're going to play a football game at Chris's. That was, and then we might play NBA Jam. Like there's like, you don't want to play FIFA? That's okay. We put NBA Jam on. It's like
we have alternatives.
So this game from 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, I believe it was ISS 99. 2000 sort of went to PES, and then my mates always had FIFA. So FIFA was we always had both PES and FIFA, and then PES up until 2004, and then it just died. It died a horrible death.
It died
and then from 2004, FIFA sort of bucked up its ideas, and then from like 17, like 13, like the animations and the little. This is where like you've got to drink the Kool-Aid of like the little flick of the analog stick to make the ball go, game changer. Like holding R1 to give it a little bit of curl.
This is the game where I played it with my daughter because she's massively into football, and she saw it. And 23 was the first time she'd actually felt included in a sports video game, because it was the first time that they had the Women's World Cup.
I was about to say that, yeah.
And my daughter is obsessed with Sam Kerr. Like, it's her favourite football player.
She's awesome.
Sam Kerr, Lauren James, like, you ask her who her favourite players are, they're what she'll say. She loves Chelsea. So the first time we played the game, she goes, I want to play Sam Kerr. I went, okay, well, you're going to have to play as Australia. She goes, I don't want to play as Australia. I want to play as Chelsea. I was like, okay, I don't think it does it. Sure enough, it does
League,
it. Women's WSL in the game. And she was playing as Sam Kerr. And I was like, I'll give you a chance. I'll play as Crawley Town. So we were able to play Crawley Town versus Chelsea ladies.
No way.
Yep. And she felt included in the game. It was fantastic.
Awesome. This is like I think it was around September 27th, October, like 5th, like around those, that's benchmark. Released on a Friday, booked Friday off, down Tesco's or game, 11:55, you know, and you're on this game to the point that I cannot even fathom how many hours over the whole franchise like I put in from a 9-year-old all the way up until like a few years ago. You know, it's like
it's got to be in the 10,000s.
Yeah, like literally from No Mercy is literally the old, and then you really struck any other games. Like there's a few one-player games in there that you kind of get, like my God of Wars and stuff. But FIFA is the one that's like taking all of my mates just for years.
Circle to shoot though.
Circles, no, that's the right way.
No, that's ridiculous.
Square to shoot is just dirty
absurd.
and horrible.
Square shoot's all the way over the other side.
Oh, it's just filthy. You just cross with it.
Dirty.
But literally, like I was saying, the hardcore title became like the FIFA World Championship. You know, like which Phil snakily won and then never ever put it back online. And he's not even good at it. He just never put it back on the line. Like everyone, so cheap. You know, like he's not even close to being like that. Like it shouldn't be his. But
no one else's is mine.
I would go round to my mates, say like on a Friday, and maybe sometimes I'd even stay out. But I'd get there from like 7. Would easily be playing that game until 6:30 in the morning, and then it'd be like, really should go to bed. Yeah. And it's like that's a kind of force, and then it's like as soon as you wake up, bang, back on FIFA again. And it was like that forever, to the point where we started to make like teams of 132 teams from everything from international to every single team in the world, and you just put the big round robin. So like it would be like Ghana versus like Port Vale as like the end game, and it was like the Bundaroo Cup, and it was just like the amount of, because it would just be whoever we went round to my mate DJ's house because he set this one up. That's where the titles sort of. And then it ended up being that it got so big it started you having computer nights in the Black Dog, and they set up the 40 screen, like the big inch, like the rivalries and the absolute. Like there used to be during like 2003 and 2004, you couldn't stop down the wing cross first time shot. It was unblockable, and then later on there was a corner of FIFA like if you got it on that corner and you shot goal, you could not stop it. And there was a cheap one with like Gary Neville shouldn't take free kicks in one of them, but like I had this tactic where you could. And it was an instant goal, and it was just. Yeah, this game I've played to death, and it's just like now I just can't, because I don't play Ultimate Team, and I don't like any cash conversions. I don't want to play buying packs. I just want to be playing
the game, the tournament.
You had like Messi and Ronaldo at their peak. You had like Benzema. You had all of the players at their peak who are now sort of like retiring, and it's kind of like it's just for how. So that's why I say when you said like you had a block, it's just a solid. From after the wrestling games, there's because I only played the one-player games on my own. The moment we're all together, it's just FIFA.
Did you not play FIFA on its own? Like, did not have campaign mode on?
Yeah, no, but that's what we do. With if I was at my mate DJ's, it would be like full tournament, everything. But if I went to my mate's Marcel's, where it'd be like an absolute slog, that would be. We'd always start a career to the point where every player's retired, and then they start computer generating players in, and it'd be like the amount of players that we scouted from like leagues who then become big stars. You feel like he's ours, you know, like you feel like you scouted him, like when you did with the Championship Manager, which is why I never did it, because I played the career so much in FIFA. I felt like I got my fix. It wasn't as in depth. But it was enough.
They did it more cinematic, right?
Yeah.
So I had a job once, and to deal with problems amongst us all, we used to have penalty shootouts on FIFA to see who would leave the office first.
Yeah, like literally penalty shootout.
Literally, you'd have a console in the corner, and you get the call, and it'd be like, "Do you want to go deal with this?" No, not really. Oh, do you want to deal with it? No, I don't really want to go. penalty shootout. So you'd have a penalty shootout to see who would leave the room to go deal with the problem.
Literally, those people I was playing
Whilst
with,
people are getting stabbed upstairs.
Oh, it's a fire.
I know.
Hold on, we've got to find out who's dealing with the fire first.
You say penalties, but like I say, like the people I played with, they are like my mates to the death. You know, like to the death. You know, like trusting to the world. Penalty shootouts. You're like fucking.
Yeah, you don't want people to see where you go.
What we call Mario moustache. You know, but what we have, you give it fake stick. You know, with the wrong.
And you know that meme where like you're relaxed and playing. Yeah. And as soon as your mate scores,
no, that's official.
That's official.
That's
you lean forward. It's the moment
that's when you're serious.
Yeah, you start losing and you sit on the edge of the sofa. Your elbows go onto your legs, and then you're leaning forward, intensely staring at the screen.
That is so true.
And it's what happens. But your mate's just in the corner, just sat there back going, "You're right."
The rages I've seen in FIFA unmatches anything I've ever. In any game between me and my mates, that is. So when you said you go, oh, I can play like FIFA or the sports game, I was like, oh, no. Like some of the language that would come out of my mouth.
Yeah, if you're playing your mates, it's different though, because it's the only acceptable time that you can throw a controller on the floor is when they're being a dick. By that I mean they're beating you, and they're not even. I say not playing fair, but like. They've learned all the tricks, all the flicks, all the moves, all the corner angles that you can get the ball in, and they're scoring left, right, and centre. They are kicking the ball down the field, and you're like, but I'm sure I'm doing like what? How are you outscoring?
And your player's off the pitch.
Yeah. It's like it's always like, do you remember that one the beginner's guide to COD, and it's like a guy just looking up in the sky, just running around in circles. That's what your player's doing on the pitch. You're like. I'm pushing up. Like, he should be running down the... Why is he staring at the sky, running around in circles? Like, I don't understand.
I mean, my mum would come in, every year, like, what's the difference? Like, there's so much difference. You don't know, like...
Have you seen how the pitch,
it's like,
the grass
looks like? It was like 60-odd quid that I was happily... without a hint of, like... It was just, boom. There was never any waste of money, but I know some people were like, I could never... But you play 20. I can't go back and play 17. You know, like you only
go.
You can only play
the little increments in.
You like, or because it's always like, oh, he's gone. My player's gone, or I don't have him, or it's like,
he's moved clubs, or he's a lower rating.
It's got to be legit, but then that's why like when it's your thing, they've got you. Yeah. They've got you, and that's why they've managed to. The game sort of carried on for so long for me.
Ultimate team now, isn't it?
Yeah, but then I mean that's why I've kind of stopped as such.
I stopped before that.
But my mate, he still has his one. So like when I go down and see him, I have a couple of games, but it's nothing like it used to be. But
I think it's a better game than it used to be. Like I say, I played it at FIFA 23 because. Like my daughter, like I say, got into football and she started playing it as well, and it was something that we could play against each other. And like I say, I started thrashing her at one point because I was just like that grown up that goes, well, you have to try harder to get better. And then one day she did, and I was like, okay, we're gonna stop playing this now. But
she got good, mate.
She got really good, and with Sam Kerr as well. But like it was the moment that she saw Sam Kerr come onto the screen and look like Sam Kerr. Like she does the flip when you do the win, she slides across the floor, but also on the pitch, the way they move, the characters move as well into the game. To the point, like she was like, I want some pink football boots because I want to be like Sam Kerr. I was like, okay, I'll get you some pink football boots. And
I mean, this in theory, like this would have been number one on PlayStation, PlayStation 2, Xbox One, you know, PS4, you know, like. But it kind of like, I was like, I've got to wait for the sports episode, or it'd be like,
the right time.
Guess what my number one is, guys? It's like,
it's finally off your chest now, mate.
Finally got to talk to football. It's like, don't stop, because once this episode's done, it's like,
no more football in this.
They can actually go home and sleep. Done.
Yeah, no, it's always. I mean,
it's like Yoda from Return the Jedi. Rest, forever sleep.
A game will always take my fancy if it's like, you know, it's never out of the question for me to buy a FIFA. You know, if someone got me FIFA as a present, you know, like a Christmas present, there's no way I'm like, oh no, it'll get played. Yeah. You know.
Cool.
Yeah, FIFA.
Nice, mate.
Well, FC 20.
FC now,
But it's not that, because
24,
it's not. It's FIFA 17.
the game that defined
13
EA
to
Sports,
18,
wasn't it?
but
It was, yeah.
It's in the game.
It's in the game, and that's where, and that came from the Mega Drive, and I was
Yeah.
hooked from that. EA Sports.
It's in the game.
Nice pick, mate.
Yeah.
Excellent. So my number one then. Sorry, I'm going to join the gang, and I'm going to make mine a WWE game.
Hey,
okay.
yes.
But my specific one, so like if FIFA 17 was yours, the one I'm going to pick out is WWE 2K13, the one with CM Punk on the
I
front.
remember you
Best in the
talking about
world.
this before as well.
This game super stands out. So very much like Chris, I have been playing these since PlayStation 1 when it was SmackDown, when it was Raw, when it was Royal Rumble, when it was whatever. I played every single one of these games up until we got to this one. And this one is just, it's perfect. It's like when you watch your favorite movie for the first time, and it is absolutely perfect from its roster, from its game modes, from its soundtrack, from its community creations and stuff like that as well. It has everything. The roster, for example, at the time it had everyone that was on wrestling at the time, but it had your WWE Attitude Era of everyone. So Farouk, for example, and JBL when they were like the Acolytes and all that, your Mankind's and
The Dudley Brothers?
yeah, absolutely. They're all on it. Dude, it's unreal. The roster is unreal. If you pick a guy
It's
from
huge,
the Attitude
wasn't
Era,
it? Is this the one that just kept, like, it was just huge, the roster?
yeah. It's like when it comes up, it's practically 3/4 of the screen is
It's
just
like,
the cat.
Was it the X-Men, like, the fighting game where it's
Yeah,
just so many fighters?
There was one of them. I can't remember. It was King of the Fighters or something.
Yeah, that's-
Oh no, you're thinking of Marvel Capcom
Yeah,
too.
where,
Yeah,
where it takes up the whole
wanna
screen
take
with
you for a
all
ride.
the yeah.
Literally like that, dude. But I love wrestling games. Full stop. I mean, I think they are basically one of the best multiplayers ever.
Agreed.
The control system was perfect in this game, though. So for wrestling games, they always tend to do something different with the controlling system, whether it's one slight little touch, like this is now the run button, or this is how you pin someone, or this is how you do reversals. But this one had it, and it never stayed since. It was like we mentioned about Halo 3.
Yes.
How they changed it from then, and they went back to it. Why they never went back to it, I have no idea. But every other game since then, it has just changed ever since. But like I say, going back to the roster, I can now go back and recreate some of my favorite matches. Like we can now do Hell in a Cell, King of the Ring with Undertaker and Mankind and all that sort of stuff, and let's redo the part when we throw him off. And oh my god, let's go to community characters creation. So again, when they brought this in, like people online can actually start creating their own characters and stuff. It was buggy as hell. There was always something wrong with it. It would take forever to download, or it would freeze halfway through downloading the character, whatnot. But now I can have Freddy, Chucky, Deadpool, whatnot, and all of a touch of a button, and it would load instantly like that. Like it was done. It was spot on, and it never mucked up or anything like that at all. It was perfect. I'm going to keep saying that on this review.
Just perfect.
It is perfect, honestly, and the ladder matches were spot on because that's my favorite match in any of these games is a ladder match. You cannot deny 4 to 6 players of us playing a ladder match is carnage, but so fucking fun. But you were talking about it with Mercy, how it takes forever to do it, but there was a certain configuration you had to do. You get up there quickly, down you come, and all. It's so good, and it really bummed me. So shout out to Phil from Xenomania and Scott. If you're into your football, your wrestling, or your nostalgia overloads, go give them a shout. Go give them a watch even, shall I say, or listen. But they were the guys, every time a 2K wrestling game came out, we would go to theirs, or they would come to mine, and it's like a big gathering or whatnot.
Yeah.
And it was like, we could not wait because they were going to throw this mode in, or these guys were going to be rusted in and whatnot. And it was every year. And then when 2K14 came out, we never done it since. It was like you had this perfect game up here, and then 14 was down there, back to square one, and everything changed. Like the roster was crap, or the control configuration was wank, or whatever. And we've never done it ever since after that. But before those, we did. But after that, no. And I kind of missed that a lot, you know.
Yeah, I miss those
because
100%.
days and the events, because like I was saying when we were saying we did it, but then we used to watch the wrestling main event, because it was always like, especially like WrestleMania or the big ones, the Rumbles.
Yeah.
everyone would come around in the early evening, wouldn't it? And then it'd just be hours of gaming.
Yeah, it's like you said when you did the rollerball thing, you'd be there every Friday night because video games come out on Fridays.
Yep.
So when it came out, we were like, oh, it's, that was when, do you remember Play.com was around? So we were like, oh, it's delivered, it's arrived, it's coming, whatever. Oh my God, it was just, and it's like, oh no, you can do 6 players because PlayStation 4 can only do 4 at the time. It's weird. I had to throw the dig in there, sorry. But yeah, I mean, I absolutely missed that. I think the newest one has been quite highly rated, so I like to give the newest one a go. The one that's got Cody Rhodes on the front of it.
So yeah, I think
that was free on the PlayStation.
Oh, was it?
That's because they couldn't sell it for that
have you got it then?
Nah, I don't get it.
Nah, exactly. Anyway, but apparently the games have been like slacking since. Like either the graphics are terrible or the conversion's terrible, whatnot, and it's never just ever lived up to 13. So I've never gone back to one or bought one ever since. And I really miss playing those games,
And you miss the time, like, because you do miss. Because it's the game and the friend. You're like having everybody there. Just
I never got after I think SmackDown. He went to 2K, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. I after SmackDown, that was it. All my friends kind of grew out of it.
Are they still? Are they still having it like? Because most games now is literally says 1 player on the box. Are you still having 2 players, 4 players,
split screens?
I think you can still do it locally, but I don't know how many you can do.
Yeah, I don't know if they. If you just only do it online.
Like I said, I've not bought them for a while, so.
No, yeah.
So that's a factor as well. Is it 2 player now? I think it's probably max 2 players.
I might give it like wrestling another because it's starting to pick up again. It's starting to get back into its like attitude era, and I don't know whether to just get back into it.
Give it a try.
Yeah, because you were like debating about getting AEW's video game. AEW, yeah. But no, I would love to go back. I'm considering doing it, and then maybe we might, arrange something that would be friggin' awesome. But not. Or Phil, come over, or we can do that. Yeah. But yeah, I can't deny 2K13 was a blast, and what a year for a wrestling game it was. Just I never put that guy down for that whole year, honestly. So yeah, I can't say any more about it. Let's go to your number 1, sir.
My number 1 is the
I
opposite.
so know what this is.
What?
Go on.
It's opposite to
Yeah, I knew it.
Pro Evolution Soccer.
Yeah.
3.
I knew you'd have it. See, this is
year
where
was
I
that?
thought you would throw it either way.
Yeah.
It was either going to be the Football Manager or that.
Pro.
Can you remember what year that was?
2003.
Like I said, that when I said to 2004, this one. This
is how cool this is, right?
This is awesome.
They didn't even have a football character on the case. He talked about rules. He has a referees as a what's his
I
name?
don't think that's cool.
Pierre
but-
Coloni or something. Colocini.
Luigi something. The ball
guy.
Yeah.
the guy that was renowned for being a bit of a hard ass.
I'm going to start with the negatives, right? I'm going to say so.
It's your number 1. There shouldn't be any negatives.
So
square
there
for
is,
shoot.
but the reason why
Square
it's
for
still a
shoot.
grip me. So it's not official licensed. So
No.
you will only get a group of like handful of teams
David
that are
Beecham.
licensed. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
like Manchester will
Ronaldo.
be Chad Bricks or Merseyside Red, and you'll have 2 or 4 clubs that are licensed.
Yeah.
And they will rotate every year. And the players will sometimes won't be licensed. Namely,
They'd have their likenesses,
Holland
but
players.
they'd be something slightly different.
Yeah, different. And then, but
that's where the gameplay was so good.
Yeah.
It kind of
it was the
outdone
first
it.
one that I remember. It used to match like the running will be specific to a player. So if it was Ruben Nistelrooy or Ronaldo, it will look like at that time. Look like they were running the way everyone's got their like sort of movement style and Henri and stuff like that. So that was good. So still on to the negative. So I think the commentary was lacking.
Yeah.
And that's about it. But everything else, hands down, solid. Like graphics, I think FIFA
Gameplay.
might have like edged it a little.
gameplay had a bit more
but it had
realism
some
in
sort of-
animation,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
like this had a bit more of
I
an
felt like the
arcadey
movement
sort
stuff,
of
yeah.
look, but not a feel to
Not a
it.
feel.
It was the
I
first time I remember using the thumbsticks to do some of the movements with
That's
the ball.
it.
It's very
Quickly,
liney though,
quickly,
wasn't
like,
it? Was it very? You'd sort of running sort of
Yeah,
line.
it felt a bit off, but it just worked. It just completely worked so well. And I always felt like FIFA's like shooting. Even now, it still looks flaky. Like it's like it looks like they shoot the ball and it's like they're toe punting it. Always that animation of shooting always felt like that. It never changed. But I don't know how it is now.
See, like you are right in the sense that I felt it like it's fluid, whereas I felt that I'm pushing my button on Pro Evo and I'm like, are you going to hit the ball today? You know, like it's a
that Pro Evo felt like it was you had
taking
to reach
a while
to hit the ball. Yeah,
but I felt it just felt like because you see a bar of the power.
Yeah, but it just felt like it was like whereas FIFA, it felt like you're shooting
instant,
quick.
Yeah,
but like I said, lines are drawn in the sand. Your Pro Evo or your PES.
I did try going to PES. So I can't remember which console. It would have been on a PlayStation 1. So what was that? 2006.
Is that International Superstar Soccer? Though.
No, it was Pro Evo. It was one of the Pro Evos that came out. Because I was a FIFA person through and through, and I bought Pro Evo to give it a go. It would have been one of the really early versions of Pro Evo, and I just couldn't convert from FIFA to Pro Evo.
I think the put off is the official unlicensed.
Yeah,
but so my local shop, you take your memory card in, right? Because so what they do is you can edit stuff. So like you can edit your kit to any team, your player. You can create your own color. So you take your memory card, pay £5. And everything is updated, yeah. So it would be like Manchester United with the official kit.
That's right, because you could change the name.
So someone's out there does it, and then they sell it. Someone's done it, and you pay it. Give it a week. Someone's done it. Everything's updated. So that's out the window. The only annoying thing was the commentary, but that's fine. Who gives a shit about commentary?
No.
But for me, is what I said before. Like they had something called the Master League. So you had an option. You start the league,
not the Premier League.
No, it's not licensed, of course, but the Master League. If players, you should know,
Championship.
Yeah, it's just called the Master League. Is Master League? It is a game changer. Like I think FIFA didn't have that.
No, but Pro Evo was the better game. It was. FIFA always had its license. That's
the only way they attract.
Always, but for a football game, 2003 and 2004 PES was just.
Unreal.
Unbelievable. And the drop off between the one which was good to the next one, that's what killed.
Yeah.
Whereas like FIFA, you sort of kind of have a slow decline or something. Whereas it killed FIFA. Like the problem was that FIFA had a good one at the same.
I'm going to say
it just hit it at the same time.
5 years.
Pro was it was top. like I said, 98, 90, all the way up to 2004. Yeah. We both had both of them, and we played both of them to the death. Yeah. It was like, and then.
But I think for me, the Master League just edged it.
I think if it would have carried on, I don't know.
In 2003,
I think Pro Evo might have been up there. Would it have taken FIFA from me if it carried on just?
I think
going the
just
whole way.
Gave up. I think at the end.
I think they did, but it was a great game.
This was your number one on the Couch Co-op episode, and you had a story to this.
Yeah, so there's two stories. So one is where it's just like your friend who created the roster. So we have the reason why football is so passionate was because all my group of friends, we played football, we taught football, all constantly talk about football. So there was a time so we created our own team, like everyone's position, 11 side. To the point, they actually I took time with my late friend Danny. We took our time to accurately create them exactly like if they were big, like to the point, and then obviously like to their strengths as well. Like if someone was good at shooting, they would be like on point. And we literally made a team, and obviously we'll, like you said, we'll do tournaments, and it would just get heated. It was so good. And one, in I think what's so good about the other story I was going to tell is so players have morals, like how well they play. So I don't think FIFA copied
morale, wasn't it?
Morale, yeah. So if they're green, that means they're going to play really well.
We have arrows.
Yeah. So I think the arrows point out.
Smiley face and a happy face.
Yeah.
The first emoji, weren't they?
Yeah. So it's done randomly, but you can preset it before the game starts. So if you're playing your friend, you're going to take like 5-10 minutes setting your team up. You're going to sub, that's going to take long. that takes a while. That's like a tradition.
That is a slog.
That's a slog.
But normally it's two people and it's a good...
Yeah, they're setting the formation up.
the hell out
Yeah, but that's it. If you don't know what you're doing,
that's tradition.
But you're only patient until you're done.
Yeah, and then you're like, hurry up, man.
You could be like 10 minutes each, and then you're done. You're like, will you fucking hurry up? Yeah. Come on. Whoever's first, it's just...
It used to be. I remember games used to do that. Like,
and that was like a ritual almost, like... And you got to be like, and then obviously, and that's why the arrows come into play.
Like, I'll put it in like left.
Yeah, some of the players would be like, your best player might be like green, and he's not going to perform. So it's like, is it worth putting him on? So it kind of plays on that aspect. So when I was playing my friend, I popped out quickly. I had my team ready. So what you can do is you can change it to your team being all morale up, and the other team being like, they're going to play shit. So he changed it without me knowing. So my team was completely like all crap, and his was all green. I still beat him to this day. I never,
no way.
I don't let him like he does still go on about it. He's a cheater. But
cheaters don't prosper.
Huh?
It's all part of the band.
Yeah, it's so good, man. Like the amount. Let's just like Chris said, hours. I think if I was able to calculate how many hours I put in, like it's probably in the thousands. And just again, solid multiplayer. And even so, like when I didn't have my friends around, the campaign mode, Master League, if you know, like Ronaldo on the right and Joaquim on the left on that era. Oh my God!
Joaquim from Valencia.
Yeah, in 2-3 years, like their rating, the speed, it's just unreal. Like the best wingers in the game.
Yeah, no, it was.
And then it gets to a point where it regenerates, like the old legends, like Maradona. You can probably you got to scout them and stuff. I can go into.
I could have just done a top 5 in top 5 football games.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah. So that's my. I know I've talked about it in the previous.
I know, yeah.
But it's
for people that hadn't listened to the episode, I
can
bring
sleep
it back
peacefully tonight.
Rest, baby.
Rest, I may.
Nice guys, and that's it. Hey. Any honorable mentions?
So I didn't get to the list.
I have NHLPA. I did put Pro Evo on there, but only because it's a sports game. Mario Golf, Sensible Soccer, Mario Soccer All Stars.
That's banging.
Mario Tennis, and Speedball. I don't know if you remember this.
I do.
Yeah.
So, and they made a film of it with Dean Cain in it. Mm-hmm. So who knew? So that's how good of a game it was. I'm going to also massively go Pro Skater 2, Tony Hawk's, because that was an epic game. But yeah, they're my honourable mentions.
Rocket League.
I was about to ask that. Does that count?
Yeah,
if that does, the Mario Kart does.
I put that as class as like the futuristic, like Deadpool's, it's futuristic. Because I thought is pod racing is Diddy Kong race it, like are they racing games? Are we classing that as a sport?
I didn't put F1 in there because I was like, I'm just going with people actually.
I did actual sport. Yeah.
I did. I had Sega Rally and Daytona USA, but arcade version.
Racing games.
Racing games.
Yeah. So that's why I said
we've already done that episode, Chris.
Yeah, no, but I wasn't on that one. But it was one game that I totally forgot that I owned, which was Virtual Tennis on the Dreamcast.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a banger of a game.
That was amazing.
Colin McRae Rally.
Racing.
Yeah, see, because I would class rally as a sport.
And this is what I was going to try to get. I was trying to get at the beginning of the episode.
That's why there were more honourable mentions. It was like, so that's about it, really.
What about your one? The
Rockstar's Table Tennis.
I didn't have played that.
Awesome,
like the guys who did GTA made a table tennis game, and it's fucking awesome. Honestly, it's pretty good. And California games.
Oh, on the Atari Lynx.
Yes.
Yeah. I remember that. That was amazing because you could surf, you could do all the kind of volleyball.
Beach stuff, dude.
It was amazing. And on the Atari Lynx as well, this console that was before any other same size as what you call the
like the Steam Deck now.
Steam Deck, yeah, same size as the Steam Deck. Screen was like half the size, if that. And it was just phenomenal for games and sound, but it just never took off.
Never took off, did it?
Took off. I'd also put in a Winter Olympics as well.
SSX, which class that as a racing game now.
Yeah, I don't know, because I had like call borders and stuff.
Call borders and like Matt Hoffman's Pro BMX.
Pro
Now,
BMX, yes.
And I brought that up on the racing episode, and he was like, "No, it's a sport."
What?
BMX is a sport.
No, the cool borders and SX tricky
Yeah.
stuff.
I would have thought it was a sport.
But then you had, what was it? SSX, what was it? Was it Cool Riders? Or
I can't remember. There was one that was a snowboarding one.
Cool Borders.
Cool
What
Borders
about
3.
wave races? That was
Rave race.
Wave race. is a
Ready to
racing game.
Rumble on the Dreamcast.
Yes.
Yes,
Oh my
yes.
god, I would have put that on my list. I fucking forgot about that.
Damn it.
Nice.
God damn it.
But yeah,
That's it.
that's it. We're there.
We'll
And I
call it
think
there,
one
guys.
of the UFCs I played
Yeah,
with my
I was
mates.
meant to say UFC as well.
Yeah, so if we didn't mention any of your sports games, please comment below and let us know. And, throw in a few recommendations here and there. We'd like to hear it from you guys, of course. But then, yeah, shall we end it there, guys?
Yeah, let's do it.
So, yeah, if you like what you listen to, please give us a like, a comment, a share, a subscribe, and also follow us on all our social medias, which is like Facebook at the M.T.V.B Podcast, Instagram at M.T.V.B Podcast, or on TikTok at M.T.V.B Podcast 197. I be Hatman, joined by...
Gal, aka Grey Fox.
Super Mario.
Me, Heisenbyrne.
And we're saying goodnight, guys. Until next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.